Perfect.
Yeah. Well, all right. Like you always say, welcome, welcome, welcome. Number one sports talking D. We ain't like the Falcons, we won't blow the lead. Look, all we talk is who that, who got cut and who back. Rookies and the vets, players you should look at. It's the sports coma, you don't wanna miss it. Got the pre-game, party, post-game statistics. Get a visit from Sway, maybe DC or 5. It's the hottest thing smoking, Big Q and the guys. Go to YouTube Live, make sure you subscribe. Interviews inside the Saints locker room high. Talk to Drew, Jordan, Zach, Peyton, New Orleans, who that nation. Best believe when I say we bleed gold and black. Ain't a miracle or rivalry could ever hold us back. No, Beastquake, Bounty Gate, let the truth be told. It's the sports coma, all we know is say Super Bowl. Yeah.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Who that fam? What it do? What's good with it, fam? What's going on, man? Good to see the black and gold, beautiful in the building, man. What's happening? What's going on? The latest installment of the Sports Coma hitting you with a surprise live stream in the building. I tell you all the time, hit the notification bell. I'm telling you, this is how we rolling. We doing it big here. We doing it big. Saints starting to make moves. Of course, the CBA was signed. I was going to do a show on that yesterday to kind of cover it, about the fact that the Saints do, they get into a position now, man, just to be honest with you, where now it just seems like it right now that the Saints have the ability to start cutting and making moves. So I'd like to thank all of the great Saints family for tuning into this edition of the Sports Coma live, middle of the week show. Of course, it's Monday. Guess you can't say it's a middle of the week show, but expect several shows like this one rolling out during this week as the activity for the Saints ratchets up. Of course, a lot of stuff still shut down because of the virus, and it will be shutting down, but at least this is not shutting down, pertaining to the fact that the NFL is open for business in terms of free agency. Now, this is just good news all the way. We see a lot of crazy deals that happen with the Texans and all that nonsense, them sending Hopkins out to the Cardinals. That was insanity. That's why I say some people just need to head check and need to be examined, because they got madman and insane people running around running these teams. Batshit crazy people. But anyway, let's keep it going, family. I'd like to welcome all the beautiful black and gold family members in the building. This is the latest edition of the Sports Coma Live, number 88, show 500. 500, big show. And we coming at you live. I'm on the road right now, but I'd like to say what's up to all the beautiful black and gold people in the building. Torrey Shepard Sr., who that to you? Raheem 21, big ups to you. So glad we get ONYEMATA back. Dude was highly underrated. He is much more healthier than Sheldon Rankins and always got to the QB plenty. Or not, he made the other team QB feel it. Torrey Shepard says he was double blocked most of the time. Just a bull of a defensive tackle. Big ups to Tyra. Who that to you, baby? Good to see you. Dada. Good to see you, Dada. The belated birthday boy in the building. Donovan Grayson. What up, Donovan? Who that to you? Says didn't think they would keep him, but I like it. Derek. Who that to you, Derek? Good to see you in the building. My dog, Derek Lockett, in the building. Big ups to you. Kevin. GM Kevin in the building as well. Who that to your family? Good to see you as well. And a lot of good black and gold Revolts in the building. Who that to my dog Revolt out in the mighty ATL via Biara. My dog's in the building. Kenny Sutton, who that to you, Kenny. Larry Williams, who that to you, Larry. Good to see you in the chat as well. DLP 2600, who that to you, DLP. I see you, fam. Good to see it. Last Jedi in the building. He said, go Saints. Who that to you, Last Jedi? Subscribe. If you're not one, fam, good to see you in the chat. Welcome. Kelvin Washington from Phoenix, Arizona. Good to see Kelvin doing it big out there in Phoenix, Arizona. And all the family. Molly Mall ATL. What's good, Molly Mall? Good to see you, family. Big ups to you in the building as well. All the beautiful Black and Gold family members chiming in. CJJ, who that to you from Odessa, Texas? Good to see you. Who that to you, CJJ? In the building as most of the family members. Good to see the family. Big ups to the family. Brandon, what's up, Brandon? Good to see you. Brandon Cormier is in the building as well. Good to see some of the family members chiming in. And Jason King, what up, Jason? I see you, family. Good to see you as well. Molly Mall ETL says yes, but Hearst has. Oh, you talking about Hearst? Mike Renner Jr., who that to you, Mike? I see your family. Good to see you in the chat. Ryan Farrell, who that to you, Ryan? Good to see your family. Kelvin says, who should we go for the 24th pick, or should we try to trade that pick? I mean, you see what kind of trades have been happening that Atlanta released, and I kind of told you about that the last show about them. They were going to release Marcus Trufant and Freeman, and they did just that. They made a trade, gave up 2 picks to get a backup tight end who's a pretty decent tight end. It's from a first-round pick. Look, man, Atlanta, all these little crazy moves these other teams are doing. Tampa Bay is going to start having a swirl of activity. These guys are ratcheting up their activity because they're serious about taking down the Saints. I mean, they're desperate. These are desperate moves by some of these desperation moves, especially by the Falcons. But I'm not mad at them getting rid of their people. They should cut half the staff because they're underperforming. But that's their team. I'll let them worry about it. Cheryl, who that to you? Good to see you, Cheryl. Dominic, good to see you. Dominic, who that to you as well? Both you and Cheryl in the building. Good to see you, my Black and Gold people. Arturo Perez, who that to you? Arturo says from Puerto Rico. Big ups to Arturo Perez chiming in from Puerto Rico. While Puerto Rico Saints family is in the building. And big ups to you, Arturo. I think you the first of the family from the country of Puerto Rico to be chiming in. Good to see you, family. Good to see you, and welcome. Dex 504, who that to you? Dex 504, good to see you. Mike Renner Jr., who that to you? In the building. Iceman T is in the building. Man, I just love it. All the great family members in the building. Abraham Austin from Sacramento, my dog Abraham. Who that to you? Abraham is in the building as well. Good to see some of the family members, man. Big ups, man. You can see in my voice, man, I'm really feeling it, man. I'm really energetic about this here. Finally see some moves that the Black and Gold are doing. So without further ado, like I said, this is live stream number 98, show number 500 from the Sports Coma catalog. Over 5 years of straight up real talk, and continue to be the realest Saints talk on the internet. The Great Saints Think Tank is in full effect. If you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. Please hit the like button upon entry, and let's go on to this journey with the Sports Coma as I begin with welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, and we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports family. I'm Big Q. If you don't know, this is the Sports Coma, aka the Great Saints Think Tank, the realest talk on the web. And we're going to cover a few stories today dealing with some of the moves the Saints have made. Of course, the first of the moves was the Saints bringing back David Onyemata. Of course, we're going to have that. Let me pull up that article for those who don't know about this move, is that David Onyemata, that's right, is due to return to the Black and Gold in the building. So very interesting to say the least. And no details have been released on the contract. But you know what? It's interesting that the Saints actually went with the first move that they could do and talked about bringing David Onyemata back. This was a free agent that I thought the Saints would not try. Well, I wanted them to bring him back, but I just thought that they wouldn't. You know, I felt that the Saints wouldn't. But to see that they bringing him back could spell disaster for Sheldon Rankins, because who knows if, you know, the likelihood of him signing both Rankins and Onyemata to multi-year deals might be something. But let's get into this article here. Now, this was broken here by New Orleans Football Talks Nick's Underhill from the NFL Network. Actually, NFL Network's Mike Garafolo first reported this news on David Onyemata, and the fact that it is reported that the NFL teams were expected to pay Onyemata $10 million a year on the open market. So the Saints led the Saints. That's the earning of it. It's a reported contract of $10 million on the open market, $10 million a year for David Onyemata. that is what they're recommended. There's no details on the contract as of, I just checked 5, 10, 20 minutes ago on that, and there was absolutely no numbers, but it's estimated to be upwards to 10 million annually, 10 million or more annually, and per year. We'll see how that works out. But the good news is that the Saints have held together and trying to keep the interior of the defensive line together by addressing David Onyemata and bringing him here to stay. And I love it. Now, it spells doom for Sheldon Rankins in my books, but David Onyemata and Sheldon Rankins came out in the same draft. Sheldon was first. David Onyemata was a raw prospect out of Canada who was a 4th-round draft pick. Injuries occurred that year. He got significant play time. Then after those years afterward, he had a lot of time, and he was seldom injured. I don't remember him being injured at all. He did miss he was suspended the first game of the past season because of the bullcrap package of weed that he never opened, that the police never charged him with anything. But the reality of the situation is that he led the Saints in snaps. He played he led the Saints in snaps played last season with 37.7 and figures to again dominate the timeshare with Malcolm Brown. Now, Onyemata and Malcolm Brown together, plus you threw Shy Tuttle, you throw Tyler Stallworth and guys like in there, and that's a formidable interior lineman group. Because each one of those guys, Onyemata, Shy Tuttle, and Taylor Stallworth, have the propensity to push the pocket from the interior position. They're not just guys that just clog up the lane and make it difficult for you to run, but they also provide a pass rush in from the interior position. Onyemata is damn near unblockable, and I'm excited to see what his progression will continue to be now that the Saints have come to an agreement with bringing this man back. Like I said, no money contract or terms of deals have been spoken about between the two, the length of the contract, and of course how much money is estimated up to 10 million annually. But it spells disaster in my book for Sheldon Rankins, who's often injured. And like I said before, y'all know that Super Sheldon with the shimmy is a talented player, but David Onyemata's development had pushed Sheldon Rankins to become that great lineman that he became, but injuries have really derailed that. And Onyemata, the Saints are really being smart about this, looking at Onyemata and saying, man, Onyemata is a guy that's given us the production. He still hasn't shown us the best interior lineman, the best defensive tackle he can be. That's the really scary part about it, is that he has not shown you who he really could be yet. He has not touched that yet. So as the years go forward, we'll see a more dominant, physical, smarter David Onyemata, and I'm glad to see that the Saints made a really good move by deciding to bring this man back and not letting somebody else like the Falcons get him. You know, they can keep David. I know about Davison, whatever his name is over there. We know about him over there signing the deal to go back with the Falcons. That's fine. They can keep that over there. You know, David Onyemata and Malcolm Brown, and what we got here is a lot better than that. So that's some big deal on that, man. That is astronomical in my book. Love that. The fact that they're bringing this guy back really, really makes me happy. You know, I figured the Saints in my book was not going to keep the guy, you know, because of the money that he would command in the open market. But the Saints being smart about it, man. They making some steps to bring Onyemata back. They developed this talent, and you got to keep him. Big shout out to the family in the building that's joining it. Who anybody else join them, should really see here. Big shout outs to the family. Superstar Louisiana boy, who that to you? Good to see your family in the building. Zoe, my goodness, is in the building. Who that to you? Molly Moss says, I don't know much about the Saints contracts. Being a Falcons fan, do y'all have Jack? Hold on here. He says, do y'all have Jack Rabbit locked up on a contract? No, they don't have Jack Rabbit locked up in a contract yet, bro. That's some of the business the Saints hopefully will get done over the many days. Not weeks, but we'll see. But I think that'll get done pretty soon in the next maybe 14 days, perhaps, because the Saints are looking at other cornerbacks. They've been rumored to be looking at veteran cornerbacks to play in the slot positions and kind of solidify. But that definitely Jack Rabbit's going to be a guy the Saints will lock up. Thank you. Zoe, my goodness, says, what's up, Q and the family? Who that to you? With this news, you think they might look to sign another big name defensive tackle? I don't think so. I think this will probably be the it as far as the defensive tackles are concerned. Onyemata provides the stability inside. Remember, they still have Sheldon Rankins on his rookie deal. One more year left there. and they still have a guy like Shy Tuttle. They still have Taylor Stallworth, who's unrestricted but could come back for cheap. So the Saints are looking good on the interior of the defensive line. We just need to kind of get the edge rusher situation together behind Cam and Davenport. That's the bottom line. Who that to the family joining in? Mike Renner, good to see your family. Peanut 504 Chief. What's happened to you? He said this was an excellent move by the New Orleans Saints, keeping a defensive line intact, plus rotating Tuttle. This team is going to be vicious. Thank you, Peanut. Who that to you? Gold, black, and gold. Who that to you? Good to see you in the chat. Kevin said, I'm not feeling this, but it was expected. Alonzo Jones Goss. Who that to you, Alonzo? Good to see your family. Wendell Leslie. Who that to your family? I see you as well in the building. Big ups to the beautiful black and gold family members chiming in the live stream. Please hit the like button. But this is one of the stories. Listen, David Onyemata is important. He provides a brutish, physical, dominant defensive tackle that is Saint-grown defensive tackle, unblockable, penetrates the pocket damn near every snap. And with this contract, it puts pressure on Sheldon Rankins. And this upcoming season, the Saints have a really excellent interior defensive line. Really good. This was a solid move to bring Onyemata back. We don't know the particulars of the deal as it stands right now, but some of this will be exposing itself in the next 2 to 3 days. Of course, we know free agency kicks off on the 18th, and that's coming up on, what is that, Wednesday or Thursday? Okay, that's coming up Wednesday. So Wednesday, we'll know the particulars. A lot of these contract news in the next 3 days. We'll know what the contract looks like on Onyemata. But they're saying annually the money's up to $10 million, or it could be $10 million a year. So we'll see. We'll see. Remember, the Saints did not have a restricted contract on David Onyemata. He wasn't a restricted player. He was unrestricted, and the Saints, being smart, not letting him hit free agency. They're locking him up before he gets to free agency. So expect the Saints to have a flurry of moves, like it was said before. DLP said that as well. Saints anticipating doing the flurry of moves. Expect Drew to get done. Drew Brees' contract to get done probably tomorrow, anytime between tomorrow and Wednesday before free agency opens, according to the Saints. They wanted to make that, so that more than likely could be the next story to break tomorrow. Drew Brees re-signs with the team, but it'll be between now and Wednesday. You don't want to let him get into free agency as well, because it'll dominate how much money it'll be astronomical. It'll put him up in the 30s or something. So you want to lock him up if you got him to give you the 25, and then you backload the second year with all the money that you're supposed to pay him in the first year. That's just something that we have to pay attention to. So a lot of moves will start happening, cracking. But it's interesting to see that the first move was the Saints taking David Onyemata and getting an agreement there. I'm really puzzled and surprised by that in a good way. I'm really happy to see the Saints actually get that. Let's move on to the next story. And the next story is, of course, the fact that the Saints did they're working on a contract extension for long snapper Zach Wood. Now, of course, a lot of people know about Zach Wood working with Will Lutz and Thomas Morstead, our Hall of Fame connection back there of the special teams, the kicker and punter. And Zach Wood did a pretty decent job of being back there since he's come over here. And the Saints are working on a 4-year contract extension with Zach Wood. So that's another piece of the moves is the Saints looking and fixing the interior defensive line, then bouncing out and doing the work in terms of locking down the long snapper. So, I figured you probably would do the long snapper last, but this is not a bad move as well, getting them to, bring back the long snapper. Another story to talk about, family, is the fact that Teddy Bridgewater, this is an interesting news story too, if y'all not aware about the fact that the Saints are still talking to Teddy Bridgewater. This story broke yesterday. I read it and I was like, man, that got to be a fake story. But more and more people started picking up, and then CBS picked it up. That's who reported on it, saying that the Teddy Bridgewater Saints have remained in talks about a potential return per report. Now that shapes and changes everything. Now, the great Saints think tank headed by your boy, of course, was talking that noise, running Sean Payton down, calling him a liar. Nobody else doing that except for me, calling him what he is, while everybody kissing his butt. We was out here at the great Saints think tank, landed down on his ass. And look, the Saints have remained in talks with a potential report to bring him back. Now, remember, Sean Payton said after the Super Bowl, or before the Super Bowl rather, that it was improbable to bring all three of them back. Perhaps the heat and the conversations that the Great Saints think tank has been pushing out to the Great Saints Kingdom and Great Saints Galaxy has perhaps reached the ears of the general managers and the administrators and says, hey, let's rethink this Teddy Bridgewater thing. Let's rethink this for a second. Teddy Bridgewater did make us 5-0 when he took over the team. They did respond well with Teddy Bridgewater. He is 27 years old, actually, 27 years old. He's younger, 2 years younger than Taysom Hill. He has several more years of experience than Taysom Hill. He's a more proven quarterback than Taysom Hill. Perhaps we need to stay in contact with him. Now, what makes this story interesting to me is the fact that Chicago Bears was one of the key teams that was looking to bring Teddy Bridgewater in. That has cooled out. Now Chicago has turned to the Cincinnati Bengals and trying to acquire Andy Dalton, and then they also turned to the Jacksonville Jaguars to try to get Nick Foles from them. And of course, the Nick Foles trade probably would make better sense for Chicago, being that if they can get Foles there, what happens is they can get Jaguars to pay the bulk of his salary, similar to a situation that had happened the previous year with another quarterback who slips my mind. It'll come back to me. If this who in the Great Saints Think Tech, remember that, please put it in the chat. But this is what is deal. The Jaguars, of course, the Bears will take Nick Foles off their hands, and they'll make the Jaguars pay perhaps on a great percentage of his contract. I've read several reports saying all of the contract just to get him off the books to free up the money so Jacksonville could have that money on their cap, and they'll pay his contract that way to free the money, or a significant portion of the contract, which would probably be favorable to Chicago. And plus, remember, Matt Nagy has a relationship with Nick Foles. He's healthy, and that could be something. The reason why I bring all that up is to say, if that's the case, the Chicago Bears was a serious suitor for Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater never wanted to leave New Orleans. If the Saints are serious about bringing him back, they're talking money to him. They're talking money with Drew Brees. They possibly having talks with Teddy Bridgewater. They having talks with Taysom Hill. Could it be possible that all three quarterbacks return for the Saints? Once again, is it possible? Crazier things have happened in the NFL. And perhaps, we talk about the money. Of course, we know that we have Mickey Mouse Loomis, the Wizard, making all the cap stuff happen. But a Teddy Bridgewater deal is a multiple year deal. It won't be another 1 year deal because he proved himself to your ass. So if anything, he wants a multiple year deal to be the Saints. And if he gets a multiple year deal behind Drew Brees, and just saying, this is hyperbole now. This is just stories that's spinning around. There's a lot of stories spinning around, but this is a confirmed story that Teddy Bridgewater is talking with the Saints about a potential return. You know, this is a curveball here in the mix. So how about that? How about that? If the Saints can bring all three of them back, or possibly bring Teddy Bridgewater back, they have a first round tender out there for Taysom Hill. Somebody takes him off your hands. Man, this will be a very interesting period in terms of free agency for the Black and Gold Nation. But this was a curveball here. When I seen that, I was like, man, you got to be kidding me. There is no way in the world that this guy is going to actually come back to the Saints the way the Saints treated them. But hey, man, anything is possible in this great and crazy world, isn't it, family? Isn't it? So that's one of the things that we was talking about. But it's insane, man, to say the least. It's amazing. It's simply amazing, man. I don't even have words to describe how really crazy it is to hear that. But, you know, we'll see. We'll monitor the situation and we'll see. But it would be a smart move for the Saints to bring them back, because if they did bring Teddy Bridgewater back, you know, it will be a better transition than with Taysom being with the experience. And then, of course, it's a number of things that work well for you here in this scenario. So very interesting news indeed from some of the news that's breaking with the Saints right now. I mean, this is just straight up wonderful, man. I can't tell you no different than that. Straight up. Big ups to the family members joining us in the live stream here as I read some of the questions. Molly Mall says the Saints actually signed AB last year. No doubt the Saints would have been in the Super Bowl. Mike T and All right, let's see. Larry says, Molly Mom, I'm out here in Lil. Not many folks can admit that. They canceled the season. I might come in. Look, Molly Mall's an ATL fan, man. He's a Falcons fan, man, but he respects the great Saints think tank. Isn't that special? I told you we got several Atlanta Falcons fans that actually listen to the Saints show. Man, I'm telling you, if this is like this is like apocalyptic times. You got this weird weird virus situating around. You got Saints, Falcons fans having cordial conversations and listen to Saints podcast. Man, that's end of the world type stuff there. Dr. Key, who that to you? Big ups to Dr. Key in the building as well. And let me read some of the comments from the family members. Let's see here. Abraham said, let's get some Teddy. Donovan says, Mario close to signing with the Raiders. So Marcus Mariota is a guy that is not going to be there. Thank you, Derek. Derek says the same thing. So as you see, one of the guys, in Case Keenum, signed with the Cleveland Browns, I believe, the backup Baker Mayfield. So Case Keenum, another guy that people was trying to stick with the Saints, has agreed to sign with Cleveland. That is another news event. So and then of course Phillip Rivers is in talks to become the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, who are making big moves of themselves. So it's a lot of stuff going on. Of course, Tom Brady is down to two teams, the New England Patriots and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are out front making moves. So a lot of the top quarterbacks that were available in free agency are falling off the board very quickly. Phillip Rivers might be in a Colt real soon. Your Tom Brady might be a Buccaneer, or he might go back to New England. And, of course, you had several really high-profile signings dealing with the former Dallas cornerback Byron Jones going to the Dolphins. They also picked up edge rusher as well. So a lot of these teams with money are starting to make moves, and it's good to see the Saints have to be commonsensical. They're bringing back David Onyemata. That only makes sense. They're having conversations with Teddy Bridgewater because perhaps some of the veteran quarterbacks that they had an idea for are coming off the board so fast, or perhaps the money that's being offered to them the Saints won't be able to match, or they don't like the deal. But in any ideology or any ideal situation, you have to look at Teddy Bridgewater and say, man, you know, this guy was a winner. The fans loved him. The team loved him. Why are we letting this guy come out the building? You know, he was willing to take a pay cut before. And listen, we'll just have to monitor the situation, because it just comes down to some really interesting talk for free agency. I did not expect the Saints to go back to Teddy Bridgewater after telling you that Taysom Hill is the franchise quarterback. If Taysom Hill's like I told y'all before, if Taysom Hill is the franchise quarterback, why are we holding conversations in free agency about Teddy Bridgewater? I keep telling y'all and we kept pushing that point that the quarterback of the future should have been Bridgewater, in terms that he'd been here for 2 years. Learning your system. He was 5-0 as a starter. He wasn't perfect, but he didn't turn the ball over. The team responded to him. And look at this. If people who don't like Teddy Bridgewater understand this, the Saints actually ran the ball when Teddy Bridgewater was there. They actually ran the ball. That's why they were a good team. Now, Teddy was going to get a lot of that credit because he was the quarterback of that time. But the Saints were a more balanced team when Teddy Bridgewater was in there, because Sean Payton didn't rely on Drew Brees to wing it all over the place. He actually ran the ball to balance the attack to help Teddy Bridgewater. That's why I was an advocate of Teddy Bridgewater, because I know Sean Payton would treat him right. When Drew Brees is in there, Sean Payton is lazy with his play calling, but Teddy Bridgewater gets the running game going because Sean Payton gets in that mindset, I got to give him the running game. Think about that. Latavius Murray had his best games when he was in there with Teddy Bridgewater. Sean Payton was running the ball there. And of course, we know Alvin Kamara was out for those 2 games, but Latavius Murray was getting his best work when he was with Teddy Bridgewater. So I like the fact that they're still trying to keep close ties to him to bring him back. So the money's there. We'll see what's going on with it. But wow, man, that's a curveball if I ever heard anything about it. Franchise backup, says Iceman. Oh, the franchise backup. I told you it was a bunch of bunk, man. Come on, we know this. DLP says, but if I'm Teddy Bridgewater, why would I take $7 million or less when I have other teams willing to pay me $20 million plus a year? Now, that's a great question. He says Saints can't pay him that, and Breeze makes no sense, no money. Now, listen, We all say that right now, currently as the cap stands, the Saints sit just over $7 million. That's according to the new cap. The new cap after the CBA agreement was signed that puts the team in the league together and gives it peace for the next 10 years, for the next decade. So the reality is Saints just over several $1 million. What needs to occur here is the Saints will then renegotiate a bevy of different contracts, including Pat Robertson. He's probably going to be off the team or take a severe reduction in pay. Teron Armstead's going to get reduced. Perhaps different players who you wouldn't even think of will get reduced wages in terms of, taking conversion money off of their annual to free up that cap and give them that upfront money. Several contracts on the team will get upfront money. Some people will just be straight up released. And it might be people that you would anticipate being released. But I think deals need to be reworked. With Janoris Jenkins coming back, the Saints are going to find a way to free money. Remember, people were saying this about the Saints last year not having no money. And I found that, years ago, I used to say, man, the Saints don't have any money in the cap. But what I realized was that when Mickey Loomis is there, there's always a way to free money. He does it every year. How do you explain last year when the Saints had like $8 to $10 million or something, just $12 million or something like that? But they signed Malcolm Brown. Nobody knew about Malcolm Brown signing. They signed Malcolm Brown. Then they signed Latavius Murray. They signed Nick Eason. They signed Marcus Shrells. They signed a month or so later Jared Cook for $16 million, $8 million a year. Where did that money come from? I keep going over that situation because the Saints have, and Mickey Loomis has a way of freeing that money up, whether it's reducing caps. It might be sad, like GM Kevin said, but that's how they operate. You can't. The last time the Saints had $80 million to spend, like Miami, you look at Miami and Tampa Bay, those teams are losing ass teams, but they have a lot of good talent on those teams. But they have players they paid that wasn't producing. The Saints are the opposite. The Saints have good contracts. They had, like right now, if you check their books, they have 4 players before the Onyemata money looks like, excluding what Onyemata gets, because it might be just up, might be just south of 10 million or 3 or 4 years under it. But there are only 4 players currently on the Saints books, and this is before Drew Brees signs his money, that is actually double-digit millions on the season. That's making 10 million plus. Only 4 guys on the team is making 10 million or more a season, annually I'm speaking. So that's great to have. So they don't, the Saints haven't had the albatross contracts like some of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They've been getting good production out of. One bad contract they had that I could speak about was the fact that it was Pat Robertson, and Pat Robertson's contract was bad because he was supposed to be the nickel and he's a dime and he wasn't producing. That's why his money needs to come down. If his money comes down, they keep him. If he agrees to take that reduction, they keep him. Bottom line. Now, he might not be a nickel because I'm seeing the Saints are in league to go about signing somebody else. There's a report that the Saints are among teams checking in on Broncos free agent Chris Harris. Now, that was released and sent out too via a report from ABC's Denver, Channel 7, that said, let's see, what's the reporter name? Says that his list has 5 strong interests in Harris, including the Cowboys, the Lions, the Saints, the Seahawks. All have Harris on their list. Now, Harris is one of the best veteran cornerbacks available in free agency. It's a robust market out there, so he is trying to command some money. Now, he will be expensive. He was looking to beat that 1-year, $12 million contract he signed last year. And the Saints can create just about over $3.5 million, $3.65 million in the cap by releasing Patrick Robinson, who's supposed to be the slot man. And if signed, Harris could be that slot man. That's what a lot of people anticipating Harris to fill in at the slot, being that they will remain with the Jackrabbit. So this kind of deal will happen. It could free up $3 million or almost $4 million just by releasing Patrick Robinson to make the deal happen. So Troy Rensick was the one that came up with it and said that the Saints are one of the suitors looking at Chris Harris. And that's something that we talked about as well when we mentioned the fact that the Saints were looking at bringing on a veteran defensive back, help in the rest of the secondary to kind of move ahead. Big ups to the family members joining the live stream. Hold them, hook them to TV. Big ups to you. He says Drew be eating that cap up like Pac-Man. Fly Trade Social Media, who that to you? Good to see your family. Jose Vela, who that to you? Jose says Saints need to sign Von Bell now. That's another story I've seen. Von Bell drawing interest from the Chicago Bears, from several other teams. So, I mean, to go back, man, and I'm just kind of going back to the David Onyemata thing. It's kind of strange to me. Not strange, but really unique that was the first move the Saints came out with all the stuff going on, all the people they need to look at. You know, you would think the first move the Saints would make would be to re-sign Drew Brees and bring Drew Brees in the camp and bring him back. But no, the first move was to go ahead on and go at David Onyemata and bring David Onyemata back and get him to agree to terms. So it's just no rhyme or reason to it. Who that to you, Jesse Jackson? Good to see you, Dominic, as well. Dominic says Chris Harris would be crazy. He would provide the veteran leadership and playmaking skill at the slot position, along with the Jackrabbit re-sign, frees up extra money. Then you look at Marshawn Lattimore, that frees, getting him under contract as well. The Saints got a lot of paperwork to do, man. They got a lot of paperwork to do. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. But the David Onyemata move, my goodness, that's absolutely crazy. Molly Moss says, Q, I just want to be around some real football fans. I know we have a football rivalry, but y'all Saints fans, good people. Thank you, brother. Feel the same to you, Molly Moss. See that, man? That just shows you, man. We don't have to egg the Atlanta Falcons people bust. They don't have to do that to us. We can get along, brother. We can. I appreciate you being in the chat. Thank you. Let's see. DLP says Texans, Patriots traded away players when they knew certain players wanted more money and they couldn't pay them. Got draft picks, helped their cap, and signed other players cheaper. That's a philosophy. Still a lot to look at because you're still dealing with the fact that you have Alvin Kamara, who's potentially going to hold out. You do have 5 draft picks. You didn't do anything with it yet. I did not like the Texans move of getting rid of DeAndre Hopkins. He still had 3 years left on his deal. I think that guy down there is an idiot. I mean, he did a decent job of getting Laramie Tunsil and also getting Steals down there, but you need to repair that offensive line. Watson getting toe up down there. You got to bring in some better linemen and you got to protect them. And, it just got to do a better job of protecting the quarterback. You don't take his best weapons away and leave him with a bunch of slot people or guys who can't fulfill a full season. But that's their stupid foolishness. If we was running the Sports Coma Texans version, I'd be lambasting that idiot. DLP says so Kamara wants his, Ramczyk, Lattimore, everybody want this. This is Scary Movie 1 and Scary Movie 2. I told you. Right now this year is Scary Movie 1 and then next year Scary Movie 2 because of Ryan Ramczyk and all these other contracts. We covered it in the video that we put out, what was it, a month before the end of the season. Feel free to look it up in the catalog and watch the video I did breaking down all these contracts and talking about this season and next year, how many people you really looking at. I mean, pivotal people, pivotal role players, solid players that could end up not being here. You got Demario Davis, who's a free agent after next year. Sheldon Rankins. Of course, they're now doing something with David Onyemata. You got Marshawn Lattimore. You got Ryan Ramczyk. You got Alvin Kamara. You got all these guys. You have all of these guys, and you're going to have to either retain them or trade them and then replenish the roster and do it and try to do it the best way you can because this is a Super Bowl or bust year, in my opinion, dealing with the Saints. But it's not a Super Bowl bust year in terms of destroying or burning the soil or salting the land for next year. I still think you can still get great value in the draft and still have this team at the top of the list in terms of making moves toward the Super Bowl because that's what it's about. It's about fulfilling the rest of the offense. And the Saints have more pluses than minuses. So remember that. Even though we need another wide receiver opposite of Mike Thomas, that's easy money with a loaded draft. And slot men all over the place in the draft and in free agency, and they don't come expensive. You can find good quality slot men, at a premium. So, like I said, it's more pluses than minuses for the Saints. Getting Onyemata back and solidifying the interior defensive line was a mainstay. Now we just have to get the contracts reworked for everybody else. How about that? We're moving in the right direction here. Raheem21 says Eric Berry and Tony Jefferson are out there and they can cover tight ends. Von Bell cannot. That's true. Eric Berry is going to have to probably, I don't know, man. Eric Berry's had some injuries, and then he had a health scare, and I don't know if he's scaring people away, but he was fantastic in Kansas City. But I don't know if he could still play the game to the point where a lot of people would say, yeah, let's go get him. I don't know. If they did feel that way, he wouldn't be a free agent right now. So it's questions or something around Eric Berry. I remember him. He's a fantastic player, but I don't know, can he still be that? Jesse Jackson says, Q, why in the world is Austin Carr a restricted free agent? His stats is awful. Yeah, the Saints didn't utilize Austin Carr much by throwing to him, but he did block for him in schemes when he was out there before he got hurt. And you can go back and watch the film. He was doing a pretty decent job of blocking. But the thing about Austin Carr that I recognize is that he's earned Sean Payton's trust. People don't understand that, but he was a guy that came from New England, and Sean Payton was trying to look for a slot man. And, after Willie Snead left, and they seen Austin Carr as a viable candidate, but it was Austin Carr. Remember, and Carr is a very smart dude. Very smart. He's not the most athletic guy. He's not the fastest, but he has a very high football IQ, and he was playing special teams. He was trying to kick return, punt return. He does have sure hands. He doesn't have much speed. And the thing about it is Drew Brees wasn't looking in this direction. And then when Drew went down, Teddy Bridgewater went in. Teddy Bridgewater wasn't finding him. Teddy didn't have no rhythm. He threw to him a couple of times. He either out-threw him or under-threw him. It was just a bad year. Then ultimately ended up getting hurt. But he's a guy that Sean Payton likes. He likes Austin Carr. That's why Austin Carr made the team. And will he be signed back? I'm pretty sure he probably will, because he'll come cheap. And Sean Payton, he likes Austin Carr. Shandon Rowe, who that to you, says, we overpaid for Onyemata. We shouldn't have caved in max. We should have gave was $6 million. Buying was more important. We don't know exactly how much they've offered or David Onyemata. The particulars of the deal was not released. Right now, they're estimating, or better yet, guesstimating that it's south of $10 million a season. So that's what they're saying. We're not going to know the particulars until at least around Wednesday, when the contract information come out. Then we'll do another show upon the updated version of the dollars, because right now we don't know exactly what the contract was. I can guesstimate and say maybe it's a 4-year deal, just south of 10 million. But what that does is it tells you that if they're paying him that value, they know what he was going to make on the free agency market. He was going to break the bank. Look what Tyler Davison got from the freaking Falcons. So, like I said, this was a smart move to kind of keep the interior of the defense together, because you never know what you have with Sheldon Rankins. Who knows what's going on with Sheldon Rankins? They have the physicals. They have the injury report. They are talking to the doctors. They know how close Sheldon Rankins is to return, and we do not. We don't have that. We're not privy to that information right now. So they looking at Onyemata and say he's more of a sure thing to Sheldon Rankins because of the injury histories. The guy is always there. Plus, he's just unblockable. So, I like the move, because what it does is it's a sure thing versus an unsure thing, in my opinion. Let's see here. Raheem says, everybody keeps saying AB, D-Hop, AJ Green, and OBJ. Saints don't need another number one. They need a Golden Tate, Lance Moore, number two. They need a complement. Remember, that's a great point right there Raheem just made, fam. Let's remember, let's just kind of peruse over what Raheem just said. Raheem said then we don't need a number one. We need a complement receiver. And remember, that's what we've been saying. And a lot of people saying the same thing, regurgitating the same wording, is that you want a complement wide receiver, a guy that complements him. Complement doesn't mean another number one receiver. That's not what it means. Complement means a guy who can complement Mike Thomas via way of kind of taking some of the burden off of him from being double or even triple team. That's the compliment we're talking about. A guy that alleviates pressure off the quarterback. Another talented wide receiver opposite who can high point the ball, who can attack the ball at his high point, or a guy that has some speed to push forward. Hopefully, it could be a guy like Jefferson who can fall to us, and there's several other great and fantastic wide receivers who can fall to us at that thing. But you're absolutely right on that, Ryan. Compliment is the key. We don't need two number ones there. That's when all that problems and all that shit started, like what Cleveland got when everybody want the ball. No, Mike Thomas is the man, and the other wide receiver, I just compliment him. And then You know, when he's getting doubled, I get single block and they're not paying attention, you could throw to me. And this is just merely an attempt for the Saints to turn into what they were 5-6 years ago when they spread the ball around to the wide open man, not force feed Mike Thomas on short passes all the time. That's not how we support. That's not how you make it to the Super Bowl. Good teams will shut that shit down, man. And even if he wasn't playing with a busted hand in the playoffs, it would still been difficult because good teams in the playoffs, they do that. They shut you down with that. So you're going to have to be able to go somewhere else with the ball. And that wasn't an option last year because Drew didn't trust Ted Ginn Jr. or Traquan Smith to even look in a direction. You know, I'm just telling you the truth. Our guy have over 140 catches in this year. You out there running, you wasn't hurt at all. Ted Ginn wasn't hurt at all, but he running around out there blocking. You mean to tell me this guy gets 145 catches and you get like 27 catches? That's embarrassing, man. You know, that's like a conversation I would go. If I'm Ted Ginn, I go to Drew Brees and tell him, look, man, you know, I'm out here too now. You know, I'm not fussing at you, Drew. I'm just telling you, I'm out here too now. You know, you need to look in my direction. What do I need to do to get the ball from you? I mean, that's a conversation I would have. I don't know if Teddy Ginn went to him and told him that in the right manner, but that's a conversation. If I'm doing all this, I'm going to go to Drew Brees and say, hey, Drew, I know you like Mike. Everybody like Mike. But listen, I'm out here too now. Now, what I need to do to get the ball from you? You know, what route did I need to do, or what do I need to do to be on the same page with you to get the ball from you so I can get some play up in here. I just won't just sit there and just die and just not get fed, you know, and just be like, whatever, I don't care no more. I just come out here and just make my money. No. But with if you get a young wide receiver there, they'll be forced to develop because that's a new toy for Sean Payton to have, and he would like to see what kind of weapon that is. And let's give him more weapons. Let's give him, because a lot of these plays that he's using, those plays are like repetitionally the playbook and from past years was really boring. Like, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't the same, even though the Saints won 13 games the last couple of years, dominating the NFC South, which has been relatively weak. You know, that's 6 wins right there. I mean, 2, 4, 6? Yeah, 6 wins. You know, you beat the Falcons twice. You split with them, but you beat the Falcons. You could beat them twice. You could beat the Bucs twice and beat the Carolina Panthers twice. 6 wins. That's 6 wins, you know. And the reality is we have to be able to give Drew more weapons around him. To complement wide receiver, and most importantly, the slot man. The slot man is very important in Sean Payton's system. We need a slot man and a fullback like C.J. Ham. So hopefully the Saints can be able to keep this good stuff going here, man. Thank you, Raheem, for that. DLP says safe money is crazy. 60 to 70 million for Von Bell. Hell no doubt. No, ain't no way in the world the Saints will pay that much money for Von Bell. One guy that got 1 interception over his whole career. No, you don't pay the guy like Eddie Jackson or the safety from the Minnesota Vikings who they franchised. You know, 8 interceptions or 7 interceptions, whatever it was, 6 interceptions, whatever the guy had. Listen, if you get interceptions like that, you get money like that. Tackles is fine as a safety, but safeties, them people pay people who get interceptions. So if you're known to get interceptions, you're going to get paid. We know this. If you're a defensive player, things that get you in the Pro Bowl is sacks and interceptions. You can have 30 tackles on a season and 8 interceptions, you're going to the Pro Bowl. You can have, as a lineman, 20 tackles, but if you have 15 sacks, you're going to the Pro Bowl. Come on now. Sacks and interceptions on defense or get you to the Pro Bowl, and it get you paid. Bottom line, look at the Lorenzo Williams, I think his name was, the linebacker for the Buffalo Bills. Dude was like 33 years old. Then he had double-digit sacks back-to-back years when he never had that before. And then all of a sudden his money just popped up because they pay people who can get to the quarterback and they pay people who can make interceptions. Bottom line, if you catching touchdowns, you get paid. You know, you can catch a lot of passes, but if you catching touchdowns, you get paid. You go to the Pro Bowl, your money go up. If you're catching interceptions, you get paid. If you're making sacks, you get paid. That's how it works. And you get to the Pro Bowl, and it means your money goes up. So those are money-making, features or attributes that people must have if they looking to get in there. So let's keep going through the chat here. DLP says you have depth You have your deep draft. You got to get more picks. 49ers traded stud defensive end DeForest Buckner for a first-round pick. 49ers have 2 first-round picks. 49ers suck for a long time to get those picks, DLP. I get what you're saying, but they suck for many years, and they finally actually won. The 49ers, you know, they suck for a long time, man. When you know, Kaepernick left from there, they went into the ground. I ain't gonna say falling through the floor. They went to hell. That's what happened. They fell in all the way down there in football hell and was chilling with the devil because they stunk. And then they started accruing. And they were able to draft high and get all these picks. And they just drafted lineman after lineman after lineman after all those years of stinking and rotting and stinking. So sooner or later, it gotta pay off for you. Sooner or later, they gotta hit, unless you're Jacksonville. But the 49ers took some chances and they got to where they needed to be, and flipping DeForest Buckner when they have Bosa and the other kid Armstead who they paid, flipping Buckner for another first round pick to get high so they can go after some wide receivers was a smart move, no doubt about it. So it's a smart move because it puts the 49ers in a position to go in the draft to save money, because right now they don't have that much money to play with. You know, they're trying to secure the talent they have, and they can go into the draft because I think they picked up 2 picks off that DeForest Buckner move, and they can be able to make something play. That's smart moves. That's true. The Saints are going to have to join that party as well, because if you know you have a player like Kamara and he's going to hold out at some point if you're not going to pay him, and it just seems like the Saints are playing musical chairs in terms of who get contracts. I mean, they can't have this shit written down nowhere. The first person we going to deal with right now, okay, we got Drew Brees. We want to sign Drew Brees on March the 18th. No doubt about it. We know that's 3 days away, 2 days away. So we going to think about talking to Drew. Also, we want to make sure we sign Taysom Hill. We don't want Taysom Hill to get that, so let's put that down. Okay, so Drew Brees, Taysom Hill. And yeah, we're going to think about doing that. And then when they are able to, and the CBA gets done and everything starts to open up, the first thing they do was, okay, let's go get David Onyemata. See what I'm saying? I mean, you can't have this shit written down somewhere, man. It's crazy, man. Where did Onyemata come from? You supposed to be pulling Drew Brees together. I guess I don't know, man. But you'll see a bunch of those moves start unraveling down, man. We'll pay attention to it. All right, Iceman says, I talk my trash, but on football, I realize y'all on division, we got to catch up. It's that simple. Darius Sempe, who that to your family? Says Q Byron Jones from Dallas signed a contract of $17 million a year. Do you think Lattimore deal will be equal or more? See, that is a great question, Derry. Great question, Derry. Because what that does is, Marshawn Lattimore will make a comparison of how much he played, his statistics compared to a Byron Jones. Now, I don't know exactly Byron Jones' statistics because I don't follow Dallas like that. I know about the players, but I don't know about the cornerback statistics. I know about Marshawn Lattimore, and I know Marshawn Lattimore could command a lot of money, but his estimated value is listed at $10 million. Of course, they can surpass it depending on what the Saints do, but that's why I was saying about locking these players up before all this started happening, because if you lock them up before the money gets spoke about, they all watching each other and they all like petulant children, you know. And if this guy gets this much candy, I want the same amount of candy. He got 5 pieces. I'm faster at it. I'm better and smarter than him in my schoolwork. I want 5 pieces too, like petulant children when it comes to money. So, you know, when it comes down to it, you absolutely right. If they paying that dude that kind of money, Marshawn Lattimore got to look at it and said, man, I made the Pro Bowler, two or three time Pro Bowler. I think he been in there twice in the 3 years he playing. And if he stay healthy, he'll be 3 years straight. That's a premium on that. So I could say I don't see the Saints paying them that kind of money. They will never pay a cornerback that kind of money. That's just real. Miami had that money to give and they desperate. But I don't see the Saints paying them $17 million a year. I just don't see that. I'm sorry. But Marshawn Lattimore will get broke off, no doubt about it. But it won't be no $17 million a year. I promise you that. I promise you that. But great question, Derek. Thank you for your question. Let's see. Let's keep it moving here, family, as we continue to go. Let's see. Shanda says, paying $9 million for a player who have 3 sacks in one game and then disappear for the next 6 was a horrible idea. Iceman says, who the hell paying Von Bell $60 million? That boy better walk out the dung with all that nonsense. Must have showed him the highlights. Von Bell is not worth $60 million in my book. I wouldn't give him that money, but they got a lot of stupid teams out there that will. Mike says, I say Atlanta, whoa, for 18 years, but I'm home and hearts in Louisiana. Believe that. Thank you, Mike. Donovan says, I would take Cobb in a heartbeat. Get him. He'll be a second or third term member of the free agency pool. You can get him anywhere between $5 to $7 million for 2 or 3 years. Give him a 2 or 3 year deal at $20 million, or perhaps, if you're looking at 7 a year, that's 21 a year. But I mean, you can get him fit. Let's throw him a 15. Get like 5 years, 3-year deal at $5 million a year. And give them a nice little guaranteed money, give them $12 million of it guaranteed, put a bunch of incentives in it. We can work with that. $5 or $6 million a year for a guy that can play 2 positions, that can play outside and a slot for you, who's a 30-year-old guy who can even kick return, punt return for you in a pinch. He provides value. So yes, Randall Cobb is my pick. It's 2 of the free agents that I wanted the Saints to go after. The other guy was Robert Quinn. Larry says, right, I want to invite that man to a crawfish ball. DLP says you have a deep draft. You got to get more picks. 49ers traded. Okay, I read that one. Kevin said, I'm not feeling it, but I figured the Saints would do it. Stupid. Molly says, ice cream, I talk my trash, but I'm football realized. Y'all on the division, we got to catch up. Yo, Q, Toby, who that to you, Toby? I see you. Verlin, who that to you, Verlin? Good to see you. He says, has anyone else heard that we supposed to be still in talks with Teddy B? Q, maybe you can clear this up. Just covered it before you came in, Verlin. We just talked about it. We covered it with Teddy Bridgewater. The Saints are indeed. It's not rumored. There's no doubt about it. It's not rumored. We covered it today, and I got it on the screen right now. Teddy Bridgewater. There's multiple reports, and this one's from CBS. And they broke it, saying that Teddy Bridgewater and the Saints are remaining in talks about a return. They're talking money. They're talking length. But if the Saints talking a return, it's not going to be a 1-year deal. It's going to be a multiple-year deal. And what does that mean to Taysom Hill, to talk about Taysom Hill? Of course, the Saints put a first-round tender on him. Very well, the Saints could bring all these quarterbacks back. They could all come back. Sean Payton said it wouldn't be possible. But free agency forces you to kind of look at things different. When that money starts flying around, all that, you start seeing what these desperate ass teams are paying for some of these guys, and you reach back and say, man, we ain't gonna be paying that kind of money for them type of dudes. So what we gonna do? Man, we better go reach back in our bag, go see if Teddy Bridgewater would take like $10 million to come, and we'll give him like a 3 or 4 year deal, to come play for the Saints and be back with the Saints, which would not be a bad move. I said that last year, and I continue to say it, that he's a safer bet than Taysom Hill, who doesn't have any experience at the position. But it's not a bad move. Marcus Mariota's coming off the board. The Raiders going to end up picking him up. The Phillip Rivers is coming off the board. The Colts about to sign him. Tampa Bay is about to lock up Tom Brady. Is between him and the Patriots, and Tom Brady is leaning toward Tampa. So you have several of the quarterbacks. Andy Dalton's possibly him and Nick Foles are looking at a trade to go to Chicago. Chicago was talking to Teddy Bridgewater and then broke off the talks and went to talking to the Bengals about Andy Dalton, and then went to talk to the Jaguars about getting Nick Foles. And something tell me that they're gonna go with Nick Foles because they can get Nick Foles for next to nothing, and then make the Jaguars pay for all of his contract, or a large portion of his contract. And then the head coach is familiar with Foles because he was with him in Philadelphia. So I mean, it's a lot of stuff, man, that's going on, in the league, where you see the quarterbacks start coming off the board, and that money, you see how that money turned, man. It changes minds, man. I'm telling you. And then Teddy Bridgewater really didn't want to go nowhere. He really didn't, but he wanted to get some of his money, and he wanted a multiple year deal. Now, Sean Payton, if he would be an honorable man, he will honor what he said about Bridgewater and bring him back for a multiple year deal. And when Breeze retires, you could keep both him and Taysom Hill there. And then you can still do what you need to do. You can still have it all if you just how you handle shit. But I like Teddy Bridgewater after Drew Brees, because when Bridgewater was in there, Sean Payton actually ran the ball. Think about it. They were balanced. They were winning 5-0 because the Saints were actually throwing the ball and they were utilizing the run. When Drew came in there, that changed. But they were actually running the ball. So that's why I like Teddy Bridgewater in that system, because Sean Payton would actually become a better coach. He would actually started to run the ball like he did in those 5 games where Drew was out. I'm just keeping it real, man. Let's keep it going. Steve Wynn, who that to you? Steve, good to see you. Steve, been a while, family. Who that to you? Hope you been well. Mark Bird, who that? Mark, he says, tired of slow linebackers and CBS. And every time I pass a strong, they playing catch up. I'll tell you what, man. Yeah, we definitely, they remember the noise that the Saints had about picking up people. What was the man name? Collins. The Saints were looking at Collins. Now, Collins is not the best guy in the world in terms of speed and coverage, but he's highly productive. But perhaps the Saints could find somebody in free agency that can be that way, or maybe in the draft. So it's a lot still twisting and turning, man. That'll be interesting just to maintain to see how we doing. Derek says Jamie Collins, the linebacker, he want a little more than we offered though. Yeah, we'll see how it works out, family. We'll see. Mark Burr says tired of slow. Okay, I just read that. Derek says Jamie Collins can't be greedy because he played lights out in the first half of the year and then he disappeared for the rest of the season. I think he was dealing with injury issues too. And but yes, the Saints, I'm not mad about Jamie Collins. I think Jamie Collins is a hell of a linebacker. We just gotta see how it all plays in free agency. Kevin says stats wise, Lattimore is better than Jones, so Lattimore looking at a mega deal. Where's the money? I had a hard pass on that one. I hear you. And Derek Jim Kevin always looking at it that way is where's the money? The money is gonna come because the Saints are gonna start reworking those contracts. Like I said, they'll rework those contracts and free the necessary money to sign the rookies that they draft and to bring the necessary players in. Remember, we don't need an army full of people to make this team a Super Bowl team. You just need to fill certain spots. And truth be told, some of these spots you can bring in 5 people. You can really lay 5 people to come in here. And to be truthfully with you, the Saints have openings in pieces where there's a wealth of people to fill it. Like you can get a CJ Ham who's restricted. You can get him. You can fill the positions, the fullback position. You can fill the tight end position, the third string tight end position. You can fill the slot position. There's slot receivers in the draft. Cobb is a very inexpensive option. You can draft a guy that complements Mike Thomas in a draft and then you're looking at linebackers with the 3rd round pick. If you don't trade Kamara, or if you keep Kamara, however you go, the Saints have several routes that they can take to improve the team. You don't need 10 people to make the team better. I mean, you can really say 3 people you can add to this team to help the team. Let's say the Saints get a good cornerback after they re-sign Janoris Jenkins to play the nickel. And then you bring in draft picks behind that to shore up the depth, and then undrafted guys, and then cheap veterans like they brought in Sylvester Williams and Clavon Webster. Remember, don't forget about the full duration of free agency and the draft and what happens after the draft, the undrafted sector. Don't forget that. And then remember, there's always a bunch of veterans who don't get picked up after the free agency period and after the draft that ultimately be catching on with teams right after the preseason or right during the preseason before the regular season starts. Don't forget that, because the Saints signed several players that really helped them in that regard. Remember, we picked up Rashard Matthews. If he hadn't gone crazy, we would have solved the slot man position last year. We had Keith Kirkwood, who got injured. He would have helped in the slot position role. So the Saints have had players there that got hurt that should have, that we was trying to count on to come back, but they didn't provide the value. They didn't develop the other guys that were on the practice squad and so on and so forth. But remember, there's layers to this. And we don't need 10 people to be a Pro Bowl team. The Saints just need 4 to 5 people in certain positions to make things hurt. And I can name those positions: wide receiver complement, slot man, fullback. You can look at even going to the defensive in edge rusher and then maybe a cornerback. And if you want to throw a 6th person in there, you could throw the left guard in there if you're not going to stick with Nick Eason. So the Saints have several routes they can actually take, but more pluses than minus. Please hit the like button, family. If you're joining the live stream, hit the like button. It helps the show exponentially. We got over 70 people in the chat. Please feel free to smash upon the like button as I keep going down to the stream. So big ups to the family. Ramsey Wars, who that to you, says, I think part of the issue with Ted Ginn was that Drew didn't trust Ted's hands and was willing to ride or die with Michael Thomas. Yeah, I think you're right, Ramsey. Matter of fact, I know you're right, because Drew didn't trust Ted's hands, and Ted didn't trust Drew's arms. So we had a lot of body problems going on. Drew did not trust his hands, Ted's hands, and Ted's didn't trust Drew's arm because Drew could not get him the goddamn ball. That's the reality. He could not get him the ball. So a lot of it was Drew's fault why he wasn't getting the Ted too. And Ted wasn't working himself back to Drew. That was another problem with Ted again, Junior. If you knew Drew couldn't reach you, you would have to work yourself back to him in some capacity, you know, and do a better job of pointing the ball, which his hands was never Ted again, Junior. Big thing, catching balls in traffic was never his forte. He was the deep bomb dude. You throw him the ball deep, he run up under it, and you can't catch him. You know, he was never the guy that high points the ball and gets hit by 2 or 3 people. That was not his due. That's not what he made of. If you want a guy like that, you're going to have to find him in the draft, you know, who can high point the ball and deal with it. Like Jefferson, if he's available, he's perfect at that. Let's see who else. Let's keep it going. Kevin says Lattimore be gone, but he will want a huge contract. Cornerbacks getting paid right now. I'm just saying the Marshawn Lattimore, the Saints are going to get that deal done, and they're going to make it favorable to Marshawn Lattimore. They'll add all the little caveats in there. But if you think the Saints are going to pay Marshawn Lattimore $17 million a year, I don't know what planet people on if they think that's going to happen. That is not going to work. Jasper Baldwin, who that to you? Jasper says, who's still left at wide receiver for us to sign? In free agency, there are tons of wide receivers out there for the Saints to sign. In the draft, there's tons. So they had a few people that come off the board, and not even wide receivers you could talk about. DeAndre Hopkins was traded to the Arizona Cardinals for David Johnson. That was stupid. You know, even though you got a 2nd and a 4th round pick, you really should have got a 1st and a 2nd round pick if you're going to give up a guy with that kind of quality. But that's why that guy going to end up getting fired, because he's stupid. But, I mean, the reality at the end of the day is that there are plenty of people still available in free agency for the Saints to sign. I mean, that's in their price range. And according to what they're telling us is that they're looking to have Drew to come back at a certain rate so they can have other signings in David Onyemata, what that looks like, what it looks like for Teddy Bridgewater, what does it look like for Taysom Hill, each of which the Saints said they wanted to sign Taysom and Drew before Wednesday. Is it possible that all 3 of them could be signed? Because I'm pretty sure they don't want Teddy Bridgewater to go into free agency as well. Remember, free agency hasn't started yet in terms of them actually signing their commitments. People are saying, they're just giving their word that they're going to sign this deal, but nothing is concrete here. So the Saints seeing all of these arrangements coming off the board, and it's forcing them to kind of update some stuff, because really, if you go into the season, that's a question mark behind them. If Drew Brees gets hurt again, then you have to ride with Taysom Hill. What does that look like? And then maybe a guy that you liked in free agency is about to sign with somebody else, and you didn't want to wait to, you know, you see what I'm saying? You didn't want to show your hand or tip your hand and say, well, I like the guy, but the guy about to go over here for more money than what I anticipated. So if they paying him that, maybe we can go ahead and get this guy back. Who knows? I mean, it's inner working parts here and adjustment of philosophies is what I'm saying. And that's why I said the Great Saints think tank is so pivotal, because we put these ideologies out here and people listen to the show. We've been going at it for over 5 years. We have well over 500 shows, even though this is show 500. Big ups to the Great Saints think tank, 500 show old. We continue to push forward. We continue to push the bar. We continue to put pressure and apply pressure on the administrators to do the right things and rethink their philosophies. You know, and this is what it is. The Great Saints think tank putting in work. Okay, let's see. Shandon says Sean Payton giving that sweet talk to Teddy B again. Q. I know he got to make it right with him. He got to make it right with him with the pocket. Now, if he gives him a multiple year, 3-year deal, I would say that would more than likely clear it up, because 3 years or 4 years to Teddy Bridgewater would definitely make him the apparent like he was supposed to be when they traded for him. Remember, the Saints gave up a 3rd round draft pick and got nothing but 2 years of service out of it. The 3rd round pick would at least give you 4 years of service, 3 to 4 years of service. A 1st round draft pick, what is it, 5 years that you hold? And the 3rd round is like 4 years or something like that. But you were supposed to get value out of that. That 3rd round that you gave up for Teddy Bridgewater, you only got 2 years off it. That's not how it's supposed to go. If you give a 3rd round draft pick up for him, you get your value, and letting him go in 2 years is not a smart move. I mean, he can go somewhere and start for somebody. So, I mean, the city loves him. The team loves him. They responded in kind. Sean Payton's a better coach with Teddy Bridgewater than he is with Drew Brees, meaning in forms of keeping his offense balanced. And that's that familiarity too that Sean Payton has to think about. It's like, okay, Drew's the quarterback that I've worked with for a long time, but the only other quarterback that I've had success with as a head coach is Teddy Bridgewater. Drew Brees has had an immaculate run as the quarterback, and they've won a lot of games, Brees and Peyton together. But when Brees leaves next year, the only other quarterback that he's won with and actually undefeated with was Teddy Bridgewater. So I don't see how you would bypass that. You know, he can only get better in the same system, especially when you're running the ball. So if you turn to Teddy and say, we take the team, you can still keep Taysom Hill. I don't think Taysom Hill going nowhere anyway. He ain't going to cost you a lot of money anyway. I mean, they might have somebody come at him and offer him a contract, but the Saints are prepared to pay up for $4 to $5 million. That's nothing to retain Taysom Hill. That's nothing. Remember, the Saints would pay Randall Cobb $5 or $6 million a year to be a slot man. So I'm saying that's nothing for them to give Taysom Hill $5 million for what, 2 years or something? That's nothing. They're willing to give up $5 million. That's a drop in the bucket for them in terms of as far as that goes, to keep that young quarterback there. And of course, if somebody said no, we're gonna give him, then the Saints can let Taysom Hill walk and get a first round pick for him. So like I said, that position was a smart position. Even though they're saying they want to sign him before free agency, they said the same about Drew. We'll maintain it. We'll see. Kevin says, what the hell is going on at Airline Drive? We're going to see, Kevin. It might not make sense now, but I'm telling you, stuff is shaping up. Alonzo Jones Golf says Lattimore is not leaving our Ohio State secondary. We're going to talk him into staying with his time comes. When we are a breath away from the Super Bowl, second Super Bowl, he's going to remain a Saint. I'm telling you, the Saints will get him inked between now and before his contract expires, because he'll be a Pro Bowler next year. If he's healthy, he's going to be the best version of himself next year, because he'll be 4 years into playing for the Saints. I mean, he's going to be a terrific cornerback nonetheless, as long as he remains healthy, but he's terrific. And they will sign him and lock him down. His contract won't go to the end of it and they say, okay, we're ready to sign you. They're going to offer him a contract. Molly Mall says, how you feel about Eli Apple? Eli Apple, to me, a lot of people don't like Eli Apple. GM Kev think he's trash. Many other Saints fans and Saints family members, the great Saint think tankers, think that he's trash. I don't think the man trash. I think that you can work with Eli Apple. We had him for a half a year, then a full year. Then he was dealing with injuries. He lost his confidence. But perhaps he'd never played in the slot before, but that don't necessarily mean that he can't play the slot position or be a dime for cheap. So I would bring him back on a cheap 1 year prove-it contract like we did several seasons ago with PJ Williams. I'm just keeping it real with you. He won't find, I mean, besides, he likes it here, and his homeboy is Marshawn Lattimore. He can only get better. If you take the pressure off of him and put him in a lesser cornerback position, you can see something happen with him. So I can see the Saints looking at Eli Apple and perhaps bringing him back on a cheap deal. I'm just keeping it real. He don't want to leave nowhere, but he lost his confidence. He can regain it. And Apple's not a trash cornerback. PJ Williams to me is trash. Pat Robertson to me is trash. Eli Apple has potential. He's 24, 25 years old. I mean, come on. Let's see. Alonzo Jones Goss says, when his time comes, we will have more space and breathing room. Thank you. Kevin doesn't like it. Verlin says, thanks, Hugh. That's what's up. Yeah, no problem, Verlin. Shannon says, I don't think Lattimore's coming back. Saints barely ever pay people in double digits. Think about it. People said the same thing before they signed Mike Thomas to that big old deal. Same deal. You know, you got to remember, too, a lot of people saying what they won't do, but I'm telling you, some positions that you will put money on. The cornerback position, teams will put money on a shutdown cornerback. They'll put money on a shutdown cornerback who gets interceptions like Lattimore does, and they'll put money on a pass rusher that gets sacks. Bottom line, they'll do that. They will do that. The Saints will put money on a pass rusher that gets sacks, and they'll put money on the cornerback. Marshawn Lattimore will get his pay. He'll get his pay. I'm just keeping it real with you. It won't be with that guy, $17 million. I think that's astronomical, but it'll be friendly to the team, and it'll be good enough for him as well. Revolt say the Falcons have Apple. Lori, who that to you, Lori? Good to see Lori in the building. Big ups to Lori. Dara says, I'm sure Lattimore is the best cornerback, Saints cornerback of all time. He's up there, man. Your boy Cuts Who That He says, what position would you draft round 1? Depends, bro. Depends after the draft, but in it, like I've said before, it's several players that you can go for at the 24th pick if you don't trade the pick to go back to get more picks. I mean, there's so many of them. There's a wide receiver there that you could take. It's a linebackers that you could take. It's edge rushers that you could take. There's an offensive lineman there you could take. It's a cornerback you could take. It's a safety you could take, because if Del Pitt falls, like they anticipating Del Pitt to fall, or Jefferson, wide receiver, to fall, he'll be there, or Clavion Chasen, or with the Penn State edge rusher that they're big on, him, or AJ Espinoza, any of these guys, some of these top offensive linemen, because they're anticipating 5 quarterbacks to get drafted in the first round. That pushes other skilled players further down to the Saints. And when you're at 24, between 24 and 32, when you're in that range, you pick the best player, the highest player on your board. You don't really draft for need right there. You take the best player that's on the board when you drafting that far. Now, you might be fortunate enough to have a guy that falls to you and he fits your need, but the Saints have several needs that they really need to address. Wide receiver is one of them. The offensive lineman at left guard's another one of them. The quarterback is another one of them. They can use an offensive, I've said offensive, they can use an edge rusher, they can use a cornerback, or they can use a safety to replace playmaking safety that can replace Marcus Williams. That's why they was talking to Del Pitt. So it's a number of ways they can go with that pick, and I wouldn't be upset if the Saints took any one of those options there, because they could use any of that. Now, of course, that's predicated. Free agency starts first, and we'll see what needs they feel in free agency, and then when the draft comes secondary, it makes it a lot simple to come up with these mock drafts once we see how free agency unloads. But that's my call on it. Thank you for the question, fam. Let's keep it going. Let's see, where did I stop at? Okay, thank you, that your boy Cuts. Big ups to you, fam. Molly Mall says, hell no, I never liked Apple. He was asking how y'all feel about that bump. Alonzo Gall says, if Eli polishes his game, we can use him in the slot. We can use him in a slot. If he comes cheap, I'm telling you, the Saints will look at him. I'm telling you. We need to get rid of P-Rob. That's coming. He is overpaid, Alonzo. That's coming. They're going to definitely rework his contract or cut him. I've seen several reports when they're looking like getting rid of him. Kevin says, can't kick the can much longer. It's always about the money. It is, but I'm telling you, bro, you kicking the can, but it's not like the Saints are kicking the can and it's going to kill them in the end. It's not going to work like that. And I'm telling you why it's not going to work like that. And I keep repeating myself about it because it's the truth. The truth is they kick in the can, but kicking the can works. It could be a fundamental and working strategy if you're drafting well, because if you're drafting well, which the Saints are, they're getting inexpensive talent for 3 to 4 to 5 years on your team. That means that they went in 13 games and they have 5 players last year that were over, that had double-digit money, but they were 13-3 the last couple of years, which means the Saints are not spending in every position like most teams are. Like you look at Cleveland, they spending money everywhere. The Saints not spending money like a Cleveland or none of these Miamis or any other of these teams that got to do it like that. The Saints are doing it smart. What they're doing is they're kicking the can, but if you're going to kick the can, the way you kick the can is the way they're kicking it. And I'm explaining it to you. Like I said, the draft with Jeff Ireland, drafting as well as he's doing, taking 3rd round players like Elvin Kamara and turning them into 1st round stars. Like taking a 2nd round player like Mike Thomas and turning him into one of the best wide receivers. He had 2 3rd round picks the year they took Elvin Kamara, who was the 2nd of the 2 3rd round picks. The other one was Anzalone, who was drafted before him. And they turned Elvin Kamara into one of the best overall satellite backs in the league behind McCaffrey. Look what they did with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who was a 4th round draft pick. They taking these talented players and putting them there, and they're providing value for a low amount of money. So they're producing like players that they paying big money to, but they're not paying them big money. You get what I'm saying? So if you can keep doing that, they'll keep doing. That's what Jeff Ireland's so pivotal, and they relying heavily on that scouting department for us, because it allows them to function this way. Now, the moment they start drafting bad and having bad drafts, you'll start seeing that catch up, because they would then have to get the free agents to carry the slack, as opposed to now the Saints are signing free agents to complement what their draft picks have done. You look at what the Saints offensive line was last year. You had all but one guy that was on the offensive line that was a free agent. Everybody else was Saint drafted people. Armstead was a 3rd-round pick for the Saints. Andrews Pete was a 1st-round draft pick starter for the Saints. McCoy was a 7th-round draft pick. And Ramczyk was a 1st-round draft pick of the Saints. So 4 of the 5 starters on the offensive line were drafted players by the Saints. Only one free agent, and that was Larry Warford. When you can do shit like that, you can be able to play a little further down because you hidden on the draft so well, and you getting value out of the draft so well that you can, if you can hit and miss in free agency, and you bring Larry Warford in on a worthy deal, then you rework his deal down and give him upfront money and do it like that. The Saints have been doing it. Look at the defensive line. They drafted Cam. They drafted Davenport, and they drafted Onyemata and Sheldon Rankins. The only one on there that wasn't drafted was Malcolm Brown. To see what I'm saying? The line, it's a philosophy across the team. The defensive line, the Saints are winning with players that they drafted, and of course they complimenting the players they drafted with people like Drew Brees throwing to Mike Thomas, somebody they drafted. The guy kick return and punt return, it was a college free agent, an undrafted guy, but still in all, you can count that like a drafted guy. They still were able to bring him and develop him into a Pro Bowler, talking about Deontay Harris. Then you have all these special team guys that's undrafted guys that the Saints signed after the free agency, after the draft was over with. When those guys officially become college free agents, the Saints beat everybody every year in getting the best undrafted talent after the draft. JT Gray, Justin Hardy, all those guys came in the fold because they found them diamonds in the rough. Shy Tuttle, Taylor Stallworth, Caden Ellis, who was a 7th-round draft pick before he got hurt. He was all over the field calling plays. He was my preseason MVP last year. The Saints are winning with the draft, so you can afford to kick the can down the road. I know you don't like the mentality, but it's working for them. And as long as they keep drafting, it's going to continue to work for them. So let's keep it going, family. Continue to answer questions in the chat. He says, take the emotions away, Q. Kicking a can option has a limit. The bills are due. What bills, Kevin? There is no bills. What bills? What bills? If they need money, they go to the bank. You know what the bank is? The bank is the bank of readjustment. It's called the readjustment bank. They go into the contracts and cut off $5 million of a $10 million contract and get a man a $5 million check in his face and said, can we rework your deal? Well, I take $5 million off your annual and give it to you in the form of money, a check right now. Would you take it? He said, yeah, I'll take that. So you give him $5 million of his $10 million. That frees up $5 million on the cap. It's the bank of readjustment. How is the bills due? It's not like they don't have any money in the bank to pay the bills. It's not like they don't have the money in the bank to pay the bills. When you have a zero balance or a minus balance in the bank, the bills come due, then you worry. The bills are due. The bills are always due. The bills come when you pay them. The next month, them goddamn bills coming. And guess what? Them bills going to keep coming every month until you transition out of this place. So, I mean, the bills going to keep coming, but the Saints got the money to pay it. And they got the wins to go with it. So like I'm saying, you don't have to worry about the bills. Stop worrying about the bills. The Saints got the money as long as they have people that's willing to take an adjustment on their money to get it up front. And let me tell you something, a lot of players love that. They love taking the money up front. If you got $10 million I owe you annually and the general manager says, I want to free up $5 million for the cap, I'm going to write you a $5 million check right now to pay you up front so we could take $5 million off the cap books. Are you good with that? Yeah, I'm good with that. He get a $5 million check right then and there as opposed to wait a year to get it. Come on now. That is a very good science that Mickey Loomis used. And I keep telling you, he's winning because of the draft, and he knows he can get rid of it and free up money anytime he want that way. That's the truth. That's the reality. Like I said, the bills always come due. The bills always gonna keep running. But as long as you got the revenue and the ability to pay them, it's no problem. It's no problem. And the Saints will continue to draft well. We might lose some talent, but the Saints will continue to draft well. Bottom line, that's how it go. Let's keep it going. Mark Burr says Texans and Detroit are Belichick proteges. Very few Bill Belichick proteges actually win in the league. Think about that. His proteges don't really do that well in the league. You know what I'm saying? But think about it like this. Bill Belichick is considered the best coach in the league. He has proteges that came out and failed. How many proteges does Sean Payton have? I mean, not too many of them. I was thinking about that the other day. I mean, he's known as a mastermind. Yes, indeed. They call him the mastermind, but he don't have too many proteges. Not too many people take chances on him. Thank you, Donald. Appreciate Donald Woods with the donation. Thank you, fam. He says Saints linebacker AJ agreed to terms with the Bills. 3 years, $18 million, almost $10 million of it guaranteed. I told y'all AJ was going to move on, and he signed with the Bills. Big ups to AJ Klein. AJ Klein, one of my favorite Saints players. He's a terrific dude, awesome dude, man. I got a lot of love for AJ Klein. He listens to the show. Big ups to AJ Klein, man, for your service to the Saints. And man, big ups to AJ. He takes a deal to go to Buffalo. He's a class act, man. So that lets you know that the Saints are definitely looking to upgrade the linebacker position via draft or perhaps in free agency. Remember last year the Saints had a lot of undrafted linebackers that was really nice. Thank you, Donald, for your donation and that information, brother. Thank you for enlightening us on the great Saints think tank here. All right, let's keep it going, fam. I'm trying to get through here. Lloyd Voice says Jack Rabbit is signed a 1-year deal for $11 million. Is signed to a 1-year deal for $11 million. Yes, that's true, but they're not going to keep that there. They're going to rework that contract sooner or later to kind of drop that money some. Maybe sign them to a 2 or 3 year deal where they bring that money in a range, perhaps I think south of $11 million, anywhere between possibly $6 to $8 million would be better than an $11 million contract, and give them a 3-year deal there to keep him there. I think that's something that the Saints are definitely going to get reworked as well. Molly Mall says, LOL, y'all signed Trufant. I will be hurt. We don't need Trufant. Hopefully, Trufant, he might, he was a good cornerback. I think he just lost his confidence there in Atlanta. But, we don't need too many of the Atlanta players, to be honest with you. DLP says Raiders are trying to get Marcus Mariota, pushing hard for him to back up Carr. I think this is under the radar signing. Marcus Mariota, I'm telling people they don't understand. Marcus Mariota is a good quarterback in a bad position. When he goes to a team with an offensive line and a running game to help him, he'll be fine. That guy had 4 coordinators in his first 4 years. You tell me what kind of success you're going to have when every year they're changing the system on what you're trying to learn to do. So yeah, and of course the Saints, it was rumored the Saints were looking at Mariota as well. It just didn't work out. Alonzo says Trufant would be a nice slot corner for the Saints. He looking for money, looking to get paid. Raheem says, oh my God, if Del Pitt fall to number 24, various drafts have him down there. I don't see Del Pitt getting out of the top 15, to be honest with you, unless something weird happens. Dada says Molly ATL would rather have Xavier Rhodes than Trufant. Let's see. Your boy Cut says 100. Kevin says Trufant's outside corner. He says take the emotions with Q, kicking the can. Okay, I already read that one. Remember, you will stand. Okay, Kevin says, remember, you will stand paying Drew when he's not here. That's true about the Drew comment. We going to have money on the Drew books. No doubt about it. But you talking, what, $20 to $40 million there? Now, remember, the Saints was in cap hell a lot more than that. Remember, the only reason why somebody would care that you have dead money is to pursue free agents in the free agent market, not to go and get draft picks. Remember what I said. And the reason why the Saints don't give a rat's ass about that, because they realize that they're drafting well and getting tremendous value out of the rookies. I keep saying that because that is the real reason why they're doing it. Their thought process is like that. They don't care about that money. They will give Drew the money, 25 to help him this year, to put people around him, and then they'll backload it for next year, so they have to pay Drew all that money. But the reality is the Saints will still have draft picks where they can make moves to replenish the team. And besides, if you take Teddy Bridgewater and you put Bridgewater will be a cheaper option, maybe a cheaper valid option, and you can actually put a quarterback behind him to develop. And like I said, I keep going back to this. It's Mickey Loomis and Jeff Ireland, who's the assistant general manager, head of the scouting department, and his scouting department is doing a terrific job in finding this talent. Big ups to my dog Scoob, who's in the chat. Big ups to you, Scoob. I see you, fam. Scoob says Jeff Ireland for president. That's a nickname we got for him because Jeff Ireland is showing up. Jeff Ireland is making shit pop, and he's one of the reasons why the Saints team is so good is because they have the talent. These young guys coming in and they handling business, whether they drafted or undrafted. and then you have free agents that's complementing the Saints, and you could afford to pop out $16 million on a 2-year contract to a guy like Jared Cook to come in for 2 years just for a Super Bowl run. Come on now. Now, if the Saints were a little bit smarter about it, what they would do is acquire more draft picks and continue this philosophy. That way, they could free up the money to be able to go and put on a guy like Lattimore. They're going to pay Lattimore. They're going to pay Lattimore more money than any cornerback the Saints ever paid him. That's the bottom line. Lattimore is a shutdown corner. He's only going to get better. The Saints are not going to let him out the building. Bottom line. But they are going to get value. Look at it, Davenport. He's out there. Look at Trey Hendrickson, Granderson. These are undrafted, or Hendrickson's a 3rd-round draft pick. But the reality is these guys are contributing the best way they could. And the Saints, I'm just telling you, they got a recipe that only works for them. Big ups to you. Kevin says, let's see. Who else? What Kevin say? Steve Wynn. Who that to you, Steve, once again? Let's see. Molly says Rhodes did a good job holding Mike Thompson playoffs to 72 yards, I think. Kevin says, was 2008 a good draft? I don't remember too much to 2000. I'm going to have to go back and look at them drafts all run together for me. But that's not the point. Even if 2008, what 2008 draft was, Kevin? I don't remember the 2008 draft. They all mixed up. I got a lot going on upstairs. Just throw a few of the names out to me. And even if it wasn't a good draft and you had retained one player from that draft, that's one draft out of several drafts that you could say that didn't work. But still in all, what's the ratio? Look what your team is, despite the fact that you missed on a draft. What I'm saying still works regardless. Regardless if they had one bad draft, it don't make a lick bit of difference. One bad draft does not affect them. That's how good the team is. That's how good he's been doing. Kevin says Bills have a good nucleus with good cap room. Congratulations. AJ Revolt says that's a good contract for Klein. Donald says that's free agency, man. It's a business, man. Wayne Harrington, what up, Wayne? Says we need Austin to get open. He's been here 3 years. I promise you, he will not make this team. Not this time. Don't say that. Never say never, Wayne. You never know how it end up. A lot of people said during last season that he wasn't going to make the team, and that sucker beat everybody, including the young guns on the team, and made the active roster. And had he not gotten hurt, he would have been on the team the whole year. I'm telling you. And people said, man, Q, I don't know what you're talking about. Austin Carr ain't going to make it. I said, listen, y'all, Sean Payton trusts Austin Carr. And I told you that. Next thing you know what happened, he was on the goddamn team. I'm telling you. He, in all that potential, he had Emmanuel Butler, LaJordan Humphrey, and all those guys he kept talking about over and over again, Cyril Grayson, and all those dudes. Remember all that? And then old Austin Carr, who we called the old Toyota or the Honda, who's the base model, who's not fancy. Remember we compared him to the old Honda and all that? He the one made the team. And if he had not gotten hurt, he would have still been on the active roster. I'm telling you. Never underestimate them guys like that, man. He was willing to play. He was playing special teams. And he was playing. While everybody was falling off, he was the most consistent of all of them. And he rode that wave and actually made the active roster. I'm telling you, they know that they like him a lot. He's not fast. He can catch. He's not an athlete, but he's football IQ. He's one of the smartest people on the team. People might not like Austin Carr, but I'm telling you, the Sean Payton does. Let's see. Revolt says, let's see. Keep it going here, family. You're scrolling so fast. I'm trying to keep up with y'all. Donald Wood said Marcus Mariota's on radar with the Raiders. We know that. Thank you. Radio Revolt says Tannehill came in his first year, outplayed him. No Mariota. That's true, Tannehill. But the reality is Tannehill is better for that system than Mariota was. If you go back and watch what Tannehill did in Miami and look at his statistics, they weren't getting wins. But look at Tannehill's statistics. He had pretty damn good statistics while he was in Miami. He had pretty good statistics while he was in Miami. I'm telling you. But he wasn't the only reason why Miami wasn't losing. Or Miami was losing for a lot of reasons. It wasn't just the QB play. They had injuries. They had that dumbass coach down there who now the coach of the Jets right now, or wherever he went. But I'm saying at the end of the day, it was when he went up there and he got the opportunity to get behind that, he showed up and he handled his business and won the contract. Mariota needs a change of scenery. And if he could stay healthy, they give him a line in the running game. He stands tall. He's accurate. I seen this kid play. The man could play. He's just in a bad situation. You got to get out of there, go somewhere, get a fresh start, and watch how he shine. We'll see. We'll monitor him. But he wouldn't have been a bad pickup for the Saints. Heavy C. Henderson, any word on Jimmy Graham? No word on Jimmy Graham yet, fam. CJJ says $18 million guaranteed. Jamie Collins, $18 million guaranteed. That's you're saying, CJJ, that's the full contract. What is that, 2 or 3 years, 18 annual or whatever? I mean, what you mean by 18 million guaranteed? It kind of expound on that. Kevin says Detroit is stupid. Tremal says Jimmy Graham to the Bears. Tremal, who that to you? Tremal, I see your family. Derek Allison, what up, Derek? How you doing, family? Steve says, sup with Demario Davis. Nothing on Demario yet, bro. You know, we gonna see how that happens, but nothing on Demario. That Revolt says we need Austin to leave. Kevin says what we always say, you beat best ability is availability. Is he here? Is he still there? Austin Carr is not on the team, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to be on the team. I keep telling you, he'll pay for anytime you got a player that's willing to take a base salary to come and play for you, and he has familiarity with the offense. Sean Payton's going to give him an opportunity. They like Austin Carr. People don't want to hear that. I kept telling people that last year about Austin Carr. When people were saying Austin Carr wasn't going to make the team, that the other guys was going to beat him out. And I told you don't count him out then. And I'm telling you don't count him out now. He's one of the smartest players on that team. He just don't have the attributes, but he could catch. He got hurt last year. I'm telling you, I'm not saying the man is Randy Moss or nobody, but I'm saying at the end of the day, the Sean Payton them trust Austin Carr. They do. You know, I don't trust his ass, but I'm telling you what the coach does. They trust him. Okay, Molly Moss says, haha, the Falcons had 3 coordinators in the last 4 years. Shaking my head. You're right, Q. It's hard to get the offense going regarding to Mariota. I'm telling you, if that's in anything, man, if you work somewhere and you keep changing bosses and every boss come in with a different philosophy on how you're going to run the company, that's going to create flux and instability. It's going to make you uneasy. You're going to be like, man, I don't know, what do we keep, they keep, you know, I don't know if I won't work here no more. They keep selling the company and every boss come in, they do it differently. You know, one day we don't have to follow this rule. The next day we got to follow this rule. I'm saying that's what kind of shit that's going on there. You cannot have any growth and development in a system that unstable. I mean, you can't. If you put Joe Montana or Drew Brees in a system like that, it wouldn't work. Drew Brees was with Sean Payton for what? For 14 years. This will be his 14th year out of all the years he played. You know how fortunate he is to stay with one coach who was using a similar system for 14 years, and we wondering why Drew Brees so good. He stayed healthy enough to be in that system for all them years. When you have a stable situation, a stable environment to grow in, you can grow and you can accomplish some stuff. You can't grow if you plant a flower in contaminated soil, it won't grow. You got to have fertile soil and the right environment for you to grow in. And that's what it was in Tennessee. It was garbage town. It was garbage town. You know, they had to get the right head coach. And finally, they got that guy down there. He got a staff together, and he was finally able to give him a running game. Because remember, a lot of the success that Tannehill had because he had balance. He had balance. And he had a few weapons out there running around. When you can run the ball and throw the ball and you have a good defense, you can win games in the NFL. And that's what the Titans did. You know, man, the good thing we don't have none of them Titan people here talking about tightening it up and yeah, let's talk some Titan Q and all that. I'm glad they're not in the chat. Anyway, let's keep it going here. Let's see who else on there. Donald says, breaking news, Jimmy Graham is going to the Bears on a 2-year, $16 million deal, including $9 million guaranteed. Adam Schefter. So let me do this for the family here. Give me just a second, and I'm going to go and I'm going to report on to y'all everything that's going on the wire right now. Give me just a second. I'm going to try to go over some of this stuff because y'all asking me about stuff right now. And hold on here. I'm going to try to keep up with y'all the best way I can on these signings. So just give me a second. And I'm going to try to find out, bring up my free agency tracker and make sure I stay abreast on some of these signings just to hit y'all with, because let's see. Okay, safety Eric Murray reaches a 3-year deal with the Texans. Murray is a former Cleveland Brown safety. Back some offensive lineman named Coleman's headed to the Niners. Kyle Vandenoy is going to the Dolphins. Javon Hargrave is headed to the Eagles, the defensive tackle. And of course, Jimmy Graham is yep, that's true. Jimmy Graham is on a 2-year deal for $16 million going to Chicago. Justin Burris is going to the Panthers, former Cleveland Browns safety. Burris is headed to the Panthers. Jacob Hollister, that's giving them a tender. Seattle giving them a tender. Michael Brockers is headed to the Ravens. The former Ram defensive lineman is on a 3-year deal worth $30 million going to the Ravens. See, this can't be real money they're talking about. This got to be monopoly money that they're talking about. How hard people working. It's like, $10 million a year for a guy who ain't playing worth nothing. Panthers signed defensive end Steve Weatherly. Falcons cut Trufant. We talked about that. The Dolphins signed Baron Jones, and he's some of the older picks. Giants are poised to sign James Bradbury, who was wanted $15 million a season, and they estimated in the 3-year deal like $45 million with 32 of it guaranteed. I don't see how you get that money. He's not. I mean, it's just crazy how these people are gauging it. Redskins land former Falcons guard Wes Schletzer or whatever his name is. Titans signed Dennis Kelly. Broncos signed Graham Glasgow. And, of course, some older deals. The Browns signed Case Keenum. Agreed to terms. All these agreed to terms. The Lions signed what's his name? Vitae from the Eagles. Come to terms with him. The Browns then come to terms with Jack Conklin, the left tackle. Linebacker John Bostic agrees to re-sign with the Redskins. DeForest Buckner, we heard about him. And, of course, trades on Stephon Diggs. He's possible a guy unless the Houston Texans looking at getting Stephon Diggs to replace him. I don't know what they talk about, man. It's just stupid. And then, of course, Falcons land Hayden Hurst from the Ravens. Cowboys signed Blake Jarwin to a 4-year contract, the tight end. And then, of course, you had the swap. And then that's pretty much the news right now. Nothing else is really breaking. Jimmy Graham to the Bears. So there you go. And, of course, the Bears are trying to get a trade with the Jags for Nick Foles. And they talking to the Bengals about Andy Dalton. So, yeah, that's some of the latest moves and news just to let y'all know. But let me get back in the check. Thank you, Kevin. Kevin says, welcome to Lane. He is the Bengals fan, and we know he's been hurting for years. Thank you, Kevin, giving some love to Lane Justice. Big ups to Lane. Lane's always showing us some love in the chat recently. He says, franchise tag AJ Green, that boy. Joe Burrow got mad weapons to toss that pigskin. Yep, it's brighter days coming for you, Lane. You just hang in there, man. Joey Burrow, we sent him. He came down Louisiana. He turned to a champion. He's going back up to Ohio, to Cincinnati. AJ Green gonna love him up there. You got Joe Mixon there. You got the other wide receiver that's pretty good. I forgot the kid name. Eifert might not be the dude. He might have to leave and get up out of there. The defense is all right. You got a few pieces, but listen, you have brighter days. Not to mention you can get compensation for Andy Dalton too. Once Andy Dalton gets traded, that's picks or maybe an impact player too. So there's brighter days ahead for the Cincinnati Bengals there, no doubt about it. All right, let's keep it going here on the chat. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us, Lane Justice. Josh Joseph, what up, Josh? He says Graham going to the Bears. Donald Wood says 15 years consistently and improving each year. Lane says, Kevin, please don't say that, man. My heart literally jumped when I read that. Kevin says, tighten up. Yeah, man, them guys was spoiled into something terrible. I had to fuss at them a couple of times in past shows. Mark Bird says you need more than Burrow. They got some pieces in place now. They got to clean up that offensive line, but they have some pieces in place in Cincinnati, man. Trust me, there's brighter days ahead, man. A good quarterback make a hell of a difference. And you have AJ Green. They got another wide receiver out there that's pretty good too. That a lot of people don't know too much about. They have Joe Mixon there. They have another back behind him. The defense need a little work. The offensive line need a little work, but they got that Zach Taylor there, who's a pretty decent offensive coach. So they should be all right, man. They should be all right. Molly Moss says Bengals need a new offense coordinator because ain't no way you have the fastest man in the NFL, John Ross, and don't have plays for him. That's true, but Burrow will get him the ball. Ross has been hurt, though, a lot. John Ross has been hurt a lot, so we'll see how it goes. No, like I said, they got some weapons up there, man. They got some talent. It's going to come together sooner or later. If the Cleveland Browns can win games, man, come on. If Cleveland can do it, anybody can do it, right? Go Black and Gold says Spencer Murray. He says Spencer Murray looking real nice at 24. Okay, all right. Murray, you talking about the linebacker, huh, from Oklahoma? Let's see. This family, bro. Lane says appreciate y'all. Revolt says Dalton is worth 2 undrafted. Is worth 2 undrafted free agents. Kevin's a home. Scoop says big ups to Lane. Mark Bird says we okay now, but optimism is a virtue. Go Saints, y'all gonna be straight. Lane, no doubt about it. They're gonna be all right up there, man. I hope you guys beat everybody except for the Saints. Let's just put it like that. Kevin says I'm okay. I'm out, y'all. I keep it going. Hey Q, text me your number at Telegram just in case the Saints make a stupid free agent pick. Call me. All right, fam. Tyler Boyd, there you go. Thanks, James. James Taylor in the building. Thank you, James. Tyler Boyd, that's his name. Really good dude. So John Ross, Tyler Boyd, they got AJ Green up there. Then they got the tight end. They got Joe Mixon, the backup behind Joe Mixon. They need to clean up the offensive line, defense. Got certain pieces in place. You know, it's more ups than downs for Cincinnati. It's coming together, man. It's coming together. Okay, Marla says John Ross, who plays for the Bengals, he's the fastest guy in the NFL. You got to give him the ball. But yeah, that's interesting though. But yeah, family, that's some of the news, man, that chiming in with the family members here in the live stream tonight. But this was some of the great news that we had today, and I'm gonna go over it once again for some of the family members that just joined the show. Some of the latest information that we had. I'm gonna start with the fact that the Saints have come to terms with David Onyemata. They said the top pending free agent, which is a top pending free agent, which I can agree out there. You have Drew Brees is out there. Of course, they want to get him done. But the first domino to fall wasn't Drew Brees getting signed like they said they wanted to sign him before Wednesday, before free agent break. The first domino was they actually reached to David Onyemata to come to terms with bringing him back because of the uncertainty of having Sheldon Rankins there. Very smart move, very smart move, very smart move. So that was one of the stories. Another story was the fact that the Saints then also come to terms on a 4-year extension with long snapper Zach Wood to keep him, along with Will Lutz, one of the best kickers in the league, and Thomas Morstead, in my opinion, a Hall of Fame punter, to keep those guys together. That was smart to keep them together. Of course, another move was the fact that the Saints are in conversation with Teddy Bridgewater. That's right. You heard me say it. For those who didn't hear me the first 3 times, I'm telling you again that Teddy Bridgewater and the Saints are in talks about a potential return. This is various reports that I'm hitting you and telling you. With at first I thought it was fake news. Then I had to research, and I researched and went to some credible searches and found out that it's actually real, that the Bridgewater and the Saints are in talks about a potential return, which could explain a lot. The Bears were talking to Teddy Bridgewater. Then the talks went cold as they started turning attention to trying to get Andy Dalton and then Nick Foles from the Jaguars. And Teddy Bridgewater was really really focused on becoming, going to Chicago. All of a sudden they kind of cooled their heels on him, and now they look in other places. And that was a top free agent destination a lot of people picked for Teddy Bridgewater. So that could mean something. But remember what Sean Payton said before the Super Bowl during the media day was that he said that it's unrealistic to bring all 3 of them back. We know Sean Payton will bring back Drew Brees. We know he'll bring back Taysom Hill. Now Teddy Bridgewater is in the mix. So that is a story as well that I'm throwing at you. And plus another story just to throw at you guys as well is the fact that the Saints were in conversation and mentioned in talks about looking at free agent cornerback Chris Harris, former Denver Bronco Chris Harris. Now, of course, he was mentioned in talks with several other teams, including the Cowboys, the Lions, and the Seahawks, and the Saints. And he had a 1-year deal last year at $12 million. He'd probably be looking at a double money deal or something like that to come back. But we're going to have to monitor that and see how that goes. But truth be told is, this could be an interesting free agency period as well. And then, like I said, big ups to AJ Klein, who goes with the Bills. He signed a deal, a 3-year contract to go with the Bills. Big ups to AJ Klein. Like I told y'all, he listens to the Sports Cone, one of my favorite people Awesome dude. And of course, a little news to tell you about. Jamie Collins agrees to terms with the Lions. So whoever the Saints was looking at in terms of Collins, he decided to join the Lions. And they said that the 3-year, it's a 3-year deal worth $30 million with $18 million guaranteed. So that's another bit of a story. Who Saints were rumored to look at getting Collins. That will not be the case. He has decided to go the way of the Detroit Lions. So there you go. So that's some of the news of the day right there for the family members to hear about. But what really we knew about Onyemata was a pleasant surprise. But the big story was the fact that the Saints were actually in conversation about talking to freaking Teddy Bridgewater. How about that one for a little info on your butt? But anyway, let me see. James Van Court, who that says Jimmy Graham must be slow. He doesn't realize that a Hall of Fame quarterback and a Hall of Fame head coach made it possible for him to be who he was, but good move to pair him with Nick Foles for Chicago. All right, if they do get Nick Foles' family, I mean, he the man trying to get paid, you know what I'm saying? Trying to get paid, but he has not been able to stay healthy. That's the problem. Ramsey says, hey, Q, since the coronavirus has impacted OTA's free agency and the draft, will this season be known as the Corona-gate? I think people will forget all about this, you know, in the next month or so. I think all this will kind of go away in the next couple of months, like in the next month or two. And then we'll get right back to our life, you know, living and doing what we supposed to do. So I anticipate normalcy to return, but that's an interesting spin on it, though. Thank you, Ramsey. Charles Mayfield, who that to you, Charles? I see you, Devin. Who that to you, Devin? Good to see you, fam. Big ups to you. Elite Goods, who that to you, family? Good to see you in the building as well. Big ups to the family members joining us in the live stream. Derek Hennessy, who that to you? He says Chris Harris is not a slot cornerback, but if the Saints are in the position to sign Janoris Jenkins, which they will, they're looking at Chris Harris as a potential third defensive back that they can bring in. And listen, man, I'm telling you, the Saints are looking at him. That means they could keep options about what they can do with Janoris Jenkins. Perhaps we'll see how it goes, you know. But I can definitely tell you, based upon past experience, that the Saints want a veteran to play that slot position. They don't want a rookie in that slot position, to be honest with you. That's why they paid Patrick Robinson all that money to come in and do it. But we'll see how this ends this free agency works out. Lane says Saints fans, I would draft Jeff Okudah if he's still on the table. Let's see. James Van Court says we need to get a top wideout or a beast linebacker in the first round if we resign Teddy. But we can address one of those needs in free agency as well as have them have no pressure to get the other one in the draft. That's right. Based on what we do in free agency, will make the draft a lot easier. So we'll see what the Saints do there as well. As time will tell, it's getting very close to free agency period. So we'll see a lot of these guys coming off the board as the Saints will start to kind of dial in on the guys that they really want. James also says, I really want us to get Collins, but he says, think about it. If he leaves the Patriots to go to another former Patriots coach, Q, LOL, that's in-house job, fam. Nobody has a chance with that. No. He played well. That's true. He had a relationship with the man, with Ralph Cramden, as I call him. Dude look like Ralph Cramden with, coaching the team. But he got Ralph Cramden out there, so he decided to go out there and, take the job there. So you're right. The relationships run the game, man. They do. Lane says on paper, look good, but it's the Browns at the end of the day, and I don't trust Baker Mayfield's judgment. Austin Hooper signed a big contract to be his tight end. And I don't know what they're doing, but I would, we'll see. Devin Franks, we have to get wide receiver, at least 2 of them. Elite says, even this is just a thought if you're looking for. Wayne Brady says, what up, fam? What up to you, Wayne? Is Quinn still out there? He's still out there, bro. Nothing on Quinn. He is still available. Molly Moss says, just talking about football, that's no harm. Let's see, Michael Rios. Who that, Michael? He says, think if we get a receiver. And we don't need a flashy wide out. We need a slot or route runner receiver because Breeze can't get the ball down deep. Not consistently. Drew Brees can throw that deep ball, but he can't throw it consistently. That's an issue. And if the Saints would do it right, and I mean do it right, meaning in terms of if you get Drew Brees and you have the ability to kind of hold his throws or his attempts to perhaps 30 attempts a game or less than that, I think you'll be doing a good service. But you have to have the running game to help him. But every now and again, he can throw it. I don't think all the time he can, but he can push the ball, but just not consistently. He could throw a deep one, but you can't have him to keep throwing it deep every, you know what I'm saying? You can't take that multiple deep shots, down the field. You got to have a running game to balance this thing. It was amazing. We've been able to get 13 wins the last couple of seasons just dunking and doing what we're doing. Let's see. Scoop said he does look like Ralphie Boy. Yeah, Ralphie Boy. Hey, Ralphie Boy. Scoop said, sorry to hear that, Molly Mall. Okay. I know this Saints country. I'm a Falcon fan here. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with Molly Mall, man. He's a Falcon fan, but he's a respectable Falcon fan, fam. So big ups to him. Elise says negative. Tremal says, Q, I have to disagree with Breeze throwing a good deep ball. Bro, remember, it depends on how fresh he is. If he can't consistently throw the ball down the field, but you mean to tell me that he can't rear back and throw a pass past 40 yards? He could throw he could throw a pass past 40 yards. He just cannot consistently push the ball down the field. If you're looking like several deep shots down the field, that's not what he's going to do. That's why his game is so lethal underneath. 74% completion percentage underneath. That's like I said, he's the shorter, he's the what I called him. The inside 40-yard assassin. He'll chop you up inside of 40 yards. But the cold part about it is the Saints offense can operate like that, where they can't top you. Imagine if you had receivers and you had those extra people around there where you could do stuff like that. Now, Teddy Ginn could have helped himself too with Drew Brees underthrowing the ball. When you see that ball underthrown, you got to work your way back to that ball. You got to help yourself, because I've seen quarterbacks in the NFL that threw the ball down the field and underthrew it, and good wide receivers find a way to work themselves back to the ball. Am I right? So sometimes you got to help your quarterback too. Now, that's a part of the game too, helping the quarterback by coming back to the ball. And that's something Ted Ginn didn't do well last year. Think about it. Michael Rio says, yeah, cool, we gotta run it more with Murray. I agree with you on that, fam. Big ups to you. James Taylor says, why nobody talking about Robbie Anderson from the Jets? I think we should draft a linebacker and go for Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson is looking for a payday. It's going to be anything between $10 to $15 million annually for Robbie Anderson. And we haven't seen like a lot of the wide receivers come off the board just yet, but you're going to start seeing that over the next 2 days. I don't know if the Saints want to spend that kind of money on Robbie Anderson. Would he be a smart complement player to Ted Ginn Jr.? Not Ted Ginn, but Michael Thomas. I don't know. I don't know if I would want to do that. I think I would spend my money elsewhere, like on a pass rusher, to help out, or, an additional cornerback, a help at linebacker, perhaps, stuff like that. I wouldn't look at trying to, put a Robbie Anderson there. I would go after a guy like Randall Cobb and put him there and then draft a wide receiver, but I don't know about them going after Anderson, because he's going to command a high dollar, and I don't think they're going to pay for 2 high dollar wide receivers. That's just my opinion. Where was I here? Oh, Devin says, I wanted him back if Peyton changing his philosophy. Lane says, I got a friend that used to play in the league, and he said that Breeze was the most accurate QB he ever played against. Always had mad respect for Breeze. 74% completion last year in the NFL, and the dude was 40 years old, man. 74, almost 75%. That's amazing, man. Let's see, Gundam. What up, Gundam? Who that to you, bro? Michael Real says, and a receiver that's physical and breaks tackles and gets points after tackle yards. Okay, there you go, PAT yards. Charles Mayfield said, Breeze going to show all y'all, but obviously not me, because I know he's not the best, LOL. Now, Drew Brees is going to be what he is. He's going to be accurate. He'll push the ball down the field every now and again. But like I said, your wide receivers, if you know that, man, come on back to the ball. Work your way back to the ball to help the quarterback out sometimes. Derek Tyler says, why didn't we go after Hopkins? Arizona got him for nothing. Literally nothing. I just don't think, the Saints wanted to. Like I said, the Saints are not going to have two high dollar wide receivers on the same team. It's not going to work that way. And the offense don't need to work that way. You got your star wide receiver. You need a complement. You're going to have a scenario similar to what Brandon Cooks was. You had two guys that were really good. Cooks thought he was the man. Thomas wanted to be the man. The Saints traded him out of there. If Cooks and Mike could have worked together, that could have been a beautiful tandem right there. Them egos got involved. So we don't want to create that situation again. And I'm talking about Brandon Cooks, when he was here, that caused the trade to get him out of here, get him sent to New England. So we don't need another scenario like that. We just need a complement or a young wide receiver or somebody that could work with him, that could produce when the quarterback throw to him. We don't need no problems like that. Charles says, have the Texans lost their mind? I mean, that's a curious move, but it won't. Let's see what it looks like, because that's the onset. I still think that the man not done yet. He sent them out. I wouldn't have did it. I wouldn't have got rid of Hopkins for David Johnson, who make $10 million a year, and that dude ain't been healthy in 2 years. So I wouldn't have done it. And they was doing good with what? Didn't they have Carlos Hyde down there? And he ran for 1,000 yards for him again last year. I would have. I mean, what's wrong with Hyde? I mean, why not go with one of these backs that's coming out of the draft? But he wanted a veteran to go with in his offense, and maybe perhaps he's looking at getting a trade. What would it look like then, him shipping Hopkins out, then getting David Johnson, then pairing David Johnson with Deshaun Watson, and then getting your boy from the Vikings, Stephon Diggs? I mean, we don't know what his plan is, so right now it looks stupid, but let's see what he got planned. There's still a lot of time left to see what he's trying to do, because perhaps he shipped them out to get the running back and then another trade to bring Stephon Diggs or somebody like that into there. You never know what this is going to end up like. He's going to definitely replace him with somebody else. We'll see how it looks. But Stephon Diggs is definitely looking for a spot where he could be the number one wide receiver. He's not the number one where he is in Minnesota. That's Adam Thielen taking him out of there. So perhaps this could be a scenario where he ends up in Houston. A lot of crazy trades have happened as of recent. There's more on the way. So what about Calais Campbell leaving whatchamacallit to go up there to Baltimore? How about that? Then Baltimore gets Calais Campbell, and then they sign Michael Brockers. I mean, that's crazy. It's a lot of crazy trades happening, man. We'll see. Donovan says Hopkins looking for a huge payday. Devil says Texans will be last in their division. They're still not done putting together what they're trying to do. Just be patient. We're gonna see some stuff. At least they have lost their mind, but I think they have something up their sleeve. I'm telling you, if you get David Johnson and you have Deshaun Watson and you pair him with Stephon Diggs, that Stephon Diggs is not Hopkins, but what that offense the Texans have, if you would to pair David Johnson, a healthy David Johnson, who they say he's healthy, and they did get a late pick, and they get Stephon Diggs and plug him in there. That still looks pretty good. That still looks good. You got a fierce runner, you got a deep threat wide receiver who can be the man, because he wants to be the man. The Texans will give him an opportunity to be man. He can catch, he can run. He's not a DeAndre Hopkins, but maybe if you give him the limelight where he's by himself, because pretty much that's what Hopkins had it by himself. Remember, Hopkins came in on the back end when Johnson was leaving. Remember that? When Johnson was gone, they top flight wide receiver they had for years. And Hopkins took over, and he never had any serious competition down there. Will Fuller was mostly hurt. Then they just got Steals down there in the trade. And they were looking pretty good in the playoffs last year. And maybe the man see that we need more of a running game, getting David Johnson who can run and catch, and he's healthy. And then you give Stephon Diggs there with Deshaun Watson. You get another lineman to help the offensive line, and you start to see how they feeling in their team. So it may look crazy now because he ain't done cooking yet. Let's see. Gundam says Texas coach and Hopkins had serious personality conflicts. That's why he was shipped out, and that's a part of it. And Stephon and Hopkins didn't like the coach because the coach never won a damn thing. And then when that happens, you got to get rid of him, because if you're the coach of that team and Hopkins is disrespectful or showing disrespectful tendencies, you can lose that whole team. So that was a move where he felt that he had to move him. He should have moved him for something better than that. But in the end, we'll see. He ain't done cooking yet. Devin says, did Hopkins cuss out the owner? I don't know. I didn't hear that. Revolt says Diggs isn't a number one. We'll see. That's yet to be determined. He wasn't the number one in Minnesota, but if you're giving him an opportunity to be the number one, how do that look? A lot of people say no, no, no. But the dude has always been productive. He was productive in college. And this is one of the scenarios where he came from. People ain't know who Stephon Diggs was. He made a name for himself by making tough catches and plays. Shit, he made himself a legend in Saints lore. I mean, the dude's, if you look at his numbers, he's been productive, and despite the fact that that ball moves around and Adam Thielen has good numbers. So, I mean, at the end of the day, Stephon Diggs to Houston would not be a bad move at all. Go Black and Gold says Bills got Diggs for a fifth round. Bills got Diggs for a fifth round. Wow. Did they get Stephon Diggs is what you're saying? Is that, hold on here. Let me see here. I didn't hear anything about that. No, I don't hear anything about Stephon Diggs getting. Oh, let me see if I can pull it up here on my feed. Okay, AJ McCarron signs with the Texans. McCarron's back with him, backing up Fant. George Fant signs with the Jets, a backup tackle. Mariota agrees to deal with the Raiders. And that's pretty much all the latest stuff. So I haven't seen anything on Stephon Diggs yet. Sports Talk 365 says, I thought Hopkins wanted a restructured deal in Houston. You know, I heard several different reports. Reports was he wasn't getting along with O'Brien. He was in the third year. I think he had 3 years left on this current deal. And you might have a point on the restructuring on the contract, because when he was traded to Arizona, they said they was going to give him a new contract. That's the first thing they said. So you might have a point on that. But both could have been the things that he wanted a restructured deal because he was performing. But, you know, and of course, they might felt like they didn't want to pay him that much. And then, of course, he conflicting with the coach. So it could be a number of things. It usually is to end up getting a player that talented shipped out of there. So we'll see how it unmasks. Thank you for that 365 Sports Talk. He said, yep, Bills got Diggs. Scoop says they better because they putting all the eggs in one basket. He says it just happened. We just talking about Diggs and then it just happening. Sports Talk 365 said breaking Buffalo just traded for Stephon Diggs. Huh. Ain't that a joke? Let me see if I can pull this up. Buffalo. What did Buffalo give up for Diggs? I don't even see this on it. ESPN ain't even here. Let me see here. ESPN is not the cutting edge anymore, obviously. Let me see. Let me just hold on just a second, family. Let me just doing a little research here. Okay, Adam Schefter says Bills are trading a first-round pick, a fifth-round pick, and a sixth-round pick in 2021. Hold on here. Let me read that again. Compensation. Bills are trading a first-round pick, fifth-round pick, a sixth-round pick, and a fourth-round pick in 2021 for the Vikings, Stephon Diggs, and a 2027 round pick. Good grief. The people traded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks for this one dude. Wow. So he goes to the Bills. So the Bills have who they had that talented wide receiver up there. What was his name? Brown, John Brown. Is he still up there? I don't know. But wow, that's Stephon Diggs. So I guess whatever this Texans coach is doing, I don't know what he's doing, but we just have to see. Trail Hatch, who that to? He said, yep, Diggs traded to the Bills. Yeah, I just seen Adam Schefter got it there on Twitter, via Twitter. I'm watching Schefter on Twitter breaking it, and Adam Schefter just put it in there. Yep. The Bills got him. Bills trying to go for broke, man. They trying to get it done. They're trying to get it done. All right, fam. Let's keep it moving in the chat. Big stuff going on, man. Free agency really kicking off. Lane Justice says that sounds like a lot of digs, but it really isn't. Bills are gonna be good. They were good. They made the playoffs last year. This just adds to it, man. gives that kid Josh Allen another weapon to throw to. Could you imagine the gun that guy has throwing that Stephon Diggs? Buffalo's gonna be a tough team. Molly Moss says, I think Bree's big problem is when he doesn't move around in the pocket, he's not mobile at all. No, he just slides a bit, but Trail says Bleacher Report is that TMZ news for sports. They break sports faster than ESPN. Yeah, they really do. They taking off. Scoop says shades of Herschel Walker trade. DLP says these signings and trades are crazy, aren't they? This whole year has been crazy, especially the last 2 goddamn months have been really crazy. Josh Joseph said, yeah, I just seen the Q Diggs to the Bills. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now on Schefter's Twitter. He just broke it here. Lane just said, admire it, making moves before window closes. DLP says, where are the Saints? LOL. It's coming. Derek Tyler says, AFC is interesting now. This feels like the NBA trade deadline. Yeah, this year, these teams are going all the way out, man. You're going all the way out. But yeah, the Saints right now, man, there's no activity with the black and gold that is being reported. I'm pretty sure stuff is happening in the building up there. It's just it hadn't broke out to us yet. So but the Onyemata and the fact that, today we had the news dealing with the fact that you had the Saints in talks with okay, now look, I got some news to break with y'all, family. I got some news to break with y'all. Okay, y'all hear me on this one, family. I got news, breaking news, family. About to break some news here. Now the Saints contract, might have some information on the pay that the Saints agreed to Onyemata. It's a 3-year deal. 3-year deal for Onyemata, estimated at $27 million. That's right, Jonathan Joseph. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, we got some new news here. This is straight off the Bleacher Report that Onyemata agrees to a 3-year contract at $27 million. 3 years, $27 million. That's the contract for David Onyemata. Now, this is according to Grafalo of the the NFL Network. The Saints agreed to a 3-year, $27 million deal with Onyemata. It said Mike Triplett at ESPN noted $18 million of the contract is guaranteed. So once again, family, just once again, the Saints agreed the contract for Onyemata is a 3-year contract at $27 million, and 18 of it is guaranteed. 18 of it's guaranteed. So breaking news for the family members is that the contract that the Saints agreed to with David Onyemata is a 3-year deal worth $27 million, and 18 million of it is guaranteed. That's the breaking news, family, as the Saints re-up with Onyemata. 3 years, $27 million. There you go, family. There you go. Some breaking news for the family, just to let them know, that the Black and Gold's contract, 3 years, $27 million with Mr. David Onyemata. Okay, family. Now that gives you an idea of what we're dealing with here. All right, so let's keep it going. Let me see here. That's some of the incitement from the Saints family members as they see that happen. A lot of people not really happy about it, but I think it's a good ass move. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. 3 years, $27 million for David Onyemata, 18 million of it guaranteed. Sets a good message. Sets a good message. Go Black and Gold says he's underrated. I'm glad we got him back. That's true. Remember what kind of player you're dealing with, Onyemata. This guy's fantastic. Unblockable down there, and it's good to have him back because it's just a great move. Now, what does that mean for Sheldon Rankins? It's not good news, but it's the reality is David Onyemata is the type of guy that's going to be there. And hell, I mean, Sheldon Rankins probably not with this one. I don't see him giving the big money up to Sheldon Rankins, so he might be in trouble here. And it's because of his injury history. The Saints are going with the more proven option. I'm just keeping it real. It's a smart move, bottom line. Just what it is. But anyway, $27 million on a 3-year deal with Mr. David Onyemata, just to let the family members know, is the contract. So it's underway. So we should have some more breaking news tomorrow, family. I'm gonna come back tomorrow with another live stream tomorrow. We're gonna, of course, this is hot time with Saints and agreements. I'm waiting to hear something about Drew Brees tomorrow. Between now and Wednesday before the deadline, We should have a Drew Brees contract. We should have a Taysom Hill contract. We should have several other agreements, maybe the reworking of a contract by guys like the Jackrabbit and several other possible Saints. So we'll be back in kind to come back and share some more information about some of these people as we moving forward, some of the Saints family members moving ahead. Okay, so that's some of the great things we are dealing with. So I'd like to give a big shout out to the family members joining us. Who that to you, Adrian? Good to see you. Ramsey says, waiting to hear the breaking news on Teddy B. Staying optimistic that he will resign. That is something that will happen really soon. So I'd like to thank all of the beautiful Black and Gold family members for joining us in the live stream. Please hit the like button, family. If you enjoyed the show tonight and you continually enjoy the show, please do us a favor here at this PRO Media Network and smash the like button. If you haven't smashed the like button, feel free to share the links of the show in your social media as well. It helps us out exponentially as we continue to move forward and do more and more of these type of shows, laying out more and more information on the Black and Gold. So it's truly time, man. It is time. It's time. So they got David Onyemata back. Expect something to hear about Drew Brees tomorrow. Expect to hear several really interesting free agent periods. Of course, the Saints talking about trying to get Taysom Hill under contract, if that's a really real thing. And I've also got some news about Zach Woods' contract. It's a 4-year deal worth $4.7 million with 1.3 of it guaranteed. So the long snapper is signed 4 years, for $4.78, just under $5 million. 4 years, just under $5 million with 1.3 of it guaranteed. So that's Zach Wood being re-signed. So we should hear more from Saints re-signing their own Drew Brees, Taysom Hill, possibly Teddy Bridgewater. We'll see what that looks like. And maybe some new free agents. Maybe we'll have word about a new Saint coming tomorrow as well. So I'd like to thank all of you guys for joining us today in the Sports Coma. Thank you for joining in and dropping by. And like I said, we'll be back tomorrow to talk more Saints talk. This is going to be an excellent week for the team moving forward. So I'd like to also give a shout out to the family members and our sponsor at the top of the screen. You can see Remington Tax Solutions is our sponsor for this month and last month and this month. As it's tax season, they sponsor the show. They're Saints fans. So if you have not got your taxes in and you're looking for a fast, reliable, and trustworthy tax provider, Remington Tax Solutions is the business for you. Go to remingtontax.com for more information. That is remingtontax.com for more information. Now, of course, also just to let the family members know that knowing that we also have our own merchandise store when you go to the PRO Media Network's Pro Shop, and we'll drop the link in the description section. Remember, when you go to the Pro Shop and check out and shop at the Pro Shop, you help out the live stream and the platform exponentially. So feel free to stop by and go to the Pro Shop and make a purchase. It helps the show. We got over 30 different designs available, literally dozens of dozens of hundreds of products, from coffee mugs to shirts and all kind of stuff for men, women, children, all available at the Pro Shop. Feel free to hit up the link and check it out. It helps out the platform in great ways. Also, to let some of the family members know that order to kind of step up your familyhood or to another level, you can become a patron of the show. If you enjoyed the show, become a patron like Donovan, like Dada, Devin, Derek, and many other fantastic, beautiful Sports Coma family members. Go to patreon.com/the PRO Media Network for more information to become a patron of the show. Check it out. It's a great way to help the platform out. And like I said, we continue to grow, we continue to thrive, we continue to move forward, and continue to be powerful. Also, you can listen to the show via Spreaker, our audio platform. We have visual, and then there's the audio streams that we have. That's at Spreaker.com. That's Spreaker, Spreakr, Spreaker.com/the Sports Coma. That's Spreaker.com/the Sports Coma. You can sign up there to listen to all the audio feeds, not just from the Sports Coma, but also from the Pelican Post Game Report, Ring Kings Boxing World, and Tough Tiger Talk, our LSU podcast. All available. All audio streams are available at Spreaker.com/the Sports Coma. Spreaker.com/the the Sports Coma. Also, there's a new show coming out from the PRO Media Network called On Q with Big Q. It's a new show that goes beyond just Saints talk. We talk about sports and entertainment on Q with Big Q. It's a new show. It'll be coming out next month, and you can only hear it. It's not on YouTube. You can only hear it as a member of the Patreon family or on our Spreaker page. So if you want to start listening to On Q with Big Q, where we cover sports stories outside of the Saints, the NFL, NBA, and also entertainment topics, as well as drawing full music reviews and movie reviews and stuff like that in there. On Q with Big Q, the new show coming out next month from the PRO Media Network, only available on patreon.com and on Spreaker. So just to let you know, put that in your ears as well. So I thank all you beautiful Black and Gold family members for chiming in. Remember, if you want to help out the platform, you can become a patron of the show, or you can start sharing the show links in Saints Facebook pages as well, like Facebook forums and Saints forums. There's a lot of people that do that really help out the show in a great way. And hit the like button as well. So like I said, I'd like to thank all the beautiful Black and Gold members for tonight. Tomorrow we'll be having another show. We'll see how it goes. We'll come back with you with more Saints talk tomorrow. This week will be a very busy week. We'll be coming right at you. So I'd like to thank all y'all for joining us today on the Sports Coma. As usual, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Stay safe. Stay prayed up. Be safe. Who dat? Peace.
Yeah. Well, all right. Like you always say, welcome, welcome, welcome. #1 sports talking D. We ain't like the Falcons, we won't blow the lead. Look, all we talk is who that, who got cut and who back. Rookies and the vets, players you should look at. It's the Sports Coma, you don't wanna miss it. Got the pre-game, party, post-game statistics. Get a visit from Sway, maybe DC or 5. It's the hottest thing smoking, Big Q and the guys. Go to YouTube Live, make sure you subscribe. Interviews inside the Saints locker room high. Talk to Drew, Jordan, Zach, Peyton, New Orleans, who that nation. Best believe when I say we bleed gold and black. Ain't a miracle or robbery could ever hold us back. No, Beastquake, Bounty Gate, let